Hello grade 12s, welcome to my channel, and today we are going to be going through this question paper from KZN Prelims Maths Paper 1. It was by request. So spethe ezikhala kahle la. Konje uthini la ndoda yaseNewcastle ithi ngama-cry nice. Anyway, let us go through it quickly. Of course, familiarize yourselves with the instructions and cement these ones in your brain, because these are operational instructions. Essentially, they decide whether you're getting full marks or not. Okay, just be aware. Diagrams are not necessarily drawn to scale, so don't read too much into the diagram, but get the implication at least. Okay, so let's do question 1. Okay, let's just sort this one out. So question 1, we are dealing with quadratics in different formats from the previous grades, right? So this is 1.1, 1.1.1. We're given x into x minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, this one is already factorized nicely, so this means x is going to be equal to 0 or x is going to be equal to 4. Okay, so once you get this one sorted, you take these values and put them on the original and check if the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. If you put 0 for x, we essentially get 0 is equal to 0, so this means this is correct. You put a 4 for x, you can see that inside the bracket we get a 0, and that makes the entire expression 0, so we get 0 is equal to 0. This may look like a futile exercise, but trust me, a mess with just this sign or something can give you a wrong answer and you lose unnecessary marks. Okay, let's move on. 1.1.2. We are given here 2x squared plus 3x is equal to 7. So we are solving correct to 2 decimal places. We need the general quadratic formula, but before we can do that, we need to place our quadratic in standard format. Now that this is the case, we can use our quadratic formula, minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all that over 2a. Okay, so what is what? Now we know the coefficient of x squared is the a value. The coefficient of of x gives us the b value, and the constant gives us our c value. So we just simply substitute these. It's minus into 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 into 2 into minus 7, all divided by 2 into 2. Okay, here I just simply conclude without wasting time. So let's just put it onto the calculator. Minus into 3 plus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 into 2 into minus 7 divided by 2 into 2. So my first answer is 1,2,7, or x is equal to. So let's do this quickly. So else is going to be equal to minus 2,77. Okay, so again we have to take these values of x and substitute into the original equation. and see if the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. So you take this, you put it where x is. Since we're rounding off here, this is a whole number, so we'll have to round off to the nearest whole number, and that tells us that indeed we get this. And you can check this one. Essentially, the correct substitution is where you get a mark. How many marks there? 4 marks. So most likely the other one is for putting our quadratic in standard format. Okay, easy marks. So please guys, make a habit of checking these answers, because you lose unnecessary marks here. In fact, you lose marks unnecessarily. Okay, so please don't do it. It's not necessary to lose those marks. Now again, here we have a quadratic inequality which we can factorize to solve for x. So this is x minus 4 minus 1. So knowing how to factorize is important. So we then take our critical values, sorry, not critical values, but those factors, put them onto the table. So please guys, be able to construct this table and to use it well as well. So it will help you in sections like sequences and series. When you've got to apply this, you never know when you're gonna need it. So those brackets are simply saying we are multiplying. Okay, so what do we have? When we solve for x there, we get 1 and 4. So we place our critical values there. So we then ask ourselves, when is this critical value x minus 1 going to be equal to 0? When x is 1. And then when you can see the 1 minus 1 is 0, when we put a value between 1 and 4, take it 2 for example, we get a positive answer. When we place 4 for x, we still get a positive answer. When we put a value greater than 4, we still get a positive answer. And if one side is positive with a 0, this is a number line, so that should be negative. But again, you can take 0 out of convenience as a number less than 1, and we get a negative answer. Okay. And then we come to the next binomial factor. Let me say, when will x minus 4 be equal to 0? It's when x is 4. Okay. What happens when you put a value greater than 4? It becomes positive. What happens when you put a value between 1 and 4? It becomes negative. It becomes negative. Obviously, this is a number line, so we expect this much. Then we come to this critical step. We multiply those brackets. So this is going to be positive. A minus times minus is a plus. 0 multiplied by any number is 0. A plus multiplied by a minus is a minus. 0 multiplied by any number is going to give us 0. A plus multiplied by a plus is good. So now we have to focus on this portion. So when we look at this, we will see that we don't want 0. So meaning the critical values are not included. So we put open circles. But as we move from that critical value to the right, we can see our product is positive. And as we move to the left of that critical value, we can also see that our product is positive, which satisfies that inequality. So here we can make the conclusion that x must be less than 1 or x must be greater than 4. And that makes a bit of sense. So we sort this out like that. Now there's another technique I would like to show you quickly. So it is the graphical method. So you draw this graph. How will you know what it should look like? You focus on that coefficient of x squared. It is an invisible plus 1. This tells us that our a value is greater than 0, which is a property that gives us the shape of our parabola, that it is concave up, or we say it's a smiling parabola, and that's why we know how to draw that sketch quickly. Okay, then of course these ones give us the x-intercepts. Now we look at this and decide what is going on in here. Well, what is going on is we can see that the graph is at 0 on the critical values. So we put open circles because we don't want 0. Then we're saying, okay, what happens when we move in that direction? We can see our graph is above the x-axis, meaning it's on the positive y-axis. And as we move to the left of that critical value, we can also see that that graph is essentially above the x-axis, meaning it's on the positive y-axis, and that satisfies that inequality. In between, it is on the negative y-axis, and that's not what we want. And from there, we can make this conclusion. So please master these two techniques. This is just an option, so don't do both, but master how to do both of them, so that in the future, when you need to use these ones, they come easy. Okay, you get a mark for those. You get a mark for a chosen tool. So essentially that sums up the 3 marks. Okay. Let's move on. So we've got 1.1.4. So I've got 3 to the exponent 2x minus 10 times 3 to the exponent x plus 21 is equal to 0. This implies that we've got 3 to the exponent x all squared minus 10 times 3 to the exponent x plus 21 equal to 0. Then we can factorize this thing. So rules of exponents, guys, you need to know quickly. It should be easy. Factors of 21 that can give us a 10. It's a 7 and a 3, and then both of them are negative. So from here we can see that 3 to the exponent x is going to be equal to 3 to exponent 1, or 3 to exponent x is equal to 7. From here we can see that x should be 1, right? Because once we have the same bases, we simply equate the exponents. Or x, here I'm going to apply logs. It's going to be basically the log of 7 to the base 3, right? This is what happens when you introduce logs. So I'm trying to move quick, folks. At some point, they know what you did. Ne? So log to the base 3 of 7. I'm getting a 1,77 to 2 decimal places as per the general instructions. So that is okay. Again, here, don't get excited. You went and got an answer. Go back to the original equation and satisfy it by substituting these values there. You can see that that is 3 squared when you put a 1 for x. That's a 9. Now this is 10 times 3, that's a 30. 30 minus 9 is minus 21, right? Sorry, yes, minus 21. Minus 21 plus 1 is a 0. So that equation is satisfied when we put that value for x. Then we put a 1,77. Again, here we will have to round off to the nearest integer. So you do that, and if you get a 0 rounded off to the nearest integer, then it means that answer should be correct. By the way, this question paper has a memo, so please double check if I did not create any issues there. So we're getting a mark for this, we're getting a mark for the factorizations. I suppose we're going to get a mark for introducing logs. Okay, so that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4. They're giving us 5 marks, maybe to write it in this format. I mean, there will always be a way of allocating marks depending on the approach you chose to answer this question. It should not be too difficult. So 1.2. Let's get to the simultaneous equations, which is a grade 10 thing. So we've got x plus y is equal to 2. From here, this implies actually we can solve for y. Y is going to be 2 minus x. And we can make that equation 1. Okay, just a moment. Okay, and then we're given and x squared plus y squared plus 6x equals 4y minus 4. That is equation 2. So we put 1 into 2. What do we get? We get x squared plus, where we see y, we put 2 minus x all squared plus 6x equals 4 into 2 minus x minus 4. Okay. So let's sort it out. This implies that we've got x squared plus, this one is going to be 4 minus 4x plus x squared plus 6x equals 8 minus 4x minus 4. This implies that we've got x plus x is basically 2x squared. And then here you just have to collect these like terms properly. Now this is minus 4x plus 6x. That gives us a 2x. 2x plus 4x is again 6x. And then we've got a 4. And then here, 8 minus 4 is 4. 4 minus 4 is a 0. So looks like Mama Tate, right? So this is what we've got. So let's see. This implies that we take out the highest common factor. It's going to be 2x into x plus 3 equal to 0. Therefore, our x is a 0, or our x is a minus 3. So now let's put the x values where y is. So this is 2 into 2 minus into 0, or y is 2 minus into minus 3. So this is basically 2. This is 5. Now let's take this against the original equation. Always take the simplest with these ones. We take 0 and 2, we substitute there. X is 0, y is 2, so the left hand side equals the right hand side. So this one's balance. And then we take a minus 3 there, we put a 5 in there, that becomes a 2. So again, the left hand side balances. So we know we're getting all the marks, and then of course putting one into the other is important, and the substitutions here are the most important. The rest is history. I benidla ma cry nice nyani. Having a ma cry nice phela. Okay. Asiqhubekeni ngebafowethu. So we have got 1.3. It says the roots of a quadratic equation are. So this is a question on the nature of the roots. Now for which values of n will the roots be equal? That's easy. So if we've got x is equal to minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus n squared over 6. Okay, so we know that essentially for equal roots, it is such that the discriminant should be equal to 0. Right? This implies that b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, which implies Now where's our discriminant? That is that term under the square root sign. 25 minus n squared equals 0. Essentially, we transpose the n and rearrange. So this is n squared equals 25. Therefore, our n is going to be a plus or minus 5. Okay, that's easy. So this is great. And of course, what did we do here? We took the square root. All right, not a big deal. So that is the answer that is being sought from us. Now let's go back. When we substitute a 5 in there, 5 squared is 25. 25 minus 25 is 0. Square root of 0 is 0. So basically the only root is minus 4 over 6. When we take minus 5 squared is 25. 25 minus 25 is 0. And square root of 0 is 0. So essentially the only root is minus 4 over 6. So these ones check out. So 2 marks for that. And a mark for that substitution. So this is how it goes. Okay, all right. So we are taking Lama cry nice la with a big smile. Ne? Yeah. Let's get to question 2. So what is question 2 saying? It says now consider the arithmetic sequence 3, 7, 11 and 399 is the last term. So this is cool. So always try to make it easy for yourself. So they're telling us this is an arithmetic progression. So we have got 3, 7, 11, and then it continues until 399. Now since this is an arithmetic sequence, we know that this is T1, which is equal to A, and we know that the common difference is basically the difference between the two, which is 4. And then we know that also this dude is our nth term, so this is Tn, or you can call it the last term, doesn't really matter. So because we are told, the reason why we know this is because we were told that is an arithmetic progression, so we don't need to sweat. Now, first question, determine the 20th term of the sequence. Easy. 2.1.1. We know that essentially Tn is equal to A plus n minus 1 times d. This implies that T20 is going to be equal to A, which is a 3, n is 20, d is 4. Okay, nice and easy. Here I'm just going to move quick, therefore T20 is equal to, now let's put it in the calculator and not waste time. So we're getting 79. Nice and easy. Here, there's no way of checking this thing. Otherwise, you're going to sweat the whole day trying to solve a non-issue. So all you have to do is to make sure that substitutions are correct. And the answer should be correct if you do your calculations correctly. So 2.1.2 says how many terms are in the sequence. Easy. We know that Tn, which is our last term, is 399. Now this implies that we've got A plus n minus 1 times d equals 399. So this implies that 3 into n minus 1 times 4 equals 399. Now here 3 plus 4n minus 4 is equal to 399. This implies that 4n is equal to, this is a minus 1. When we add it to the other side, it becomes 400. You can say therefore n is going to be equal to 100. You can say therefore there are 100 terms in the sequence. Great. Always attempt to answer the question. Don't leave the question hanging. So again here, the key is a correct substitution and essentially answering the question. Okay, great. 2.2 says the first term of an arithmetic sequence. So again, we're given an arithmetic progression. The first term is a, goes on, and then we're told the 13th term is a plus 24. So, and then this goes on. So this is T1, this is T13. Great. So let's do it. 2.2.1 says determine the common difference. Easy. We know that T13 is equal to a plus 24. This implies that a plus 12d is equal to a plus 24. Now you need to remember how to get this. You get it from the general formula for an arithmetic sequence, finding the term, which is that. Okay, so this is easy, folks. So you can see here that a is the same on either side of the equal sign, so it cancels out. So this means that 12d is equal to 24. Therefore d is going to be 2. Easy. Again here, you're getting a mark for that substitution and for the answer. Again, there's no knowing if you're doing it right or wrong. What is important here is essentially just making sure your substitutions are correct. Okay, yani 2.2.2. I even am a cry nice. These were the cry nices indeed. Let's see, determine the sum of the first 200 terms in terms of a, meaning a is part of the answer. So basically Sn is equal to n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, so this implies that S200 is going to be 200 over 2 into 2 into a, that was the first term, plus this is 200 minus 1 times d, we just found out it's 2 above. Therefore, S200 is equal to, now we can see that this is going to be 100 multiplied by 2a. This is going to be 200a plus, now let's sort this one, 200 minus 1 times 2. It's 398 multiplied by that 100 on the outside. It gives us 39. Score was 38. Okay, that's it. Again, guys, there's no knowing if this is right or wrong. So the only key is to ensure the substitutions are correct, because if they are, the answer should be correct as well. So ngamanye makray nice la, easy questions, eh? Yeah, man. So benidla kahle, benidla isikhala kahle. Okay, the values below are the consecutive, meaning terms that follow one another, of a quadratic sequence, and the fourth term is 49, which is this guy right there. Okay, so we are given this guy, 1 missing, There's another term missing, another term missing. Then we've got 49, 77, 111, 151, and then it continues. Great. So if this is a QS, if this is a quadratic sequence, this already tells you and I that we have to find the first differences on what we can see. Before we are even invited, 151 minus 111 is 40. And then 111 minus 77 is 34. Okay, 77 minus 49 is 28. And then we just have to find the second differences, which we know they are constant. So 34 minus 28 is 6, and that is 6 too. Okay, so we can see what is going on here. So we've got 3.1. 3.1 says determine the third term. Now to find the third term, we need to find these terms that have not been given. So we know that we need to find first the difference between those two, which will also give us the difference between itself and that one as a 6. So if that is a 6, 28 minus 6 is 22. 49 minus 22. So guys, be careful. These are very easy questions. So, so that gives us a 27. So these are easy questions, but you need to be very careful. So we can just simply say T3 is equal to 27. Again, how many marks were we getting here? 1 mark. Can you see? They want to see how we got it. It's there in front of them. No need for trouble there. 3.2. Just determine the nth term of the quadratic sequence. This is a common question. So this one I expect full marks from you guys. Remember that 2a is equal to the constant second difference. But now this is what term? What term is this? We can see that we would have term 1, term 2. So this is the third term of the first differences. So the third term of the first differences is going to be 7a plus b. How do I know this? Here are some notes for you guys. Let's do it. So always try to use what you're given. So in general, the nth term is an squared plus bn plus c, right? Now when we want, remember, this is the fourth term minus the third term. So let's see, T4 is going to be a into 4 squared plus b into 4 plus c. This is going to be 16a plus 4b plus c. Can you see that? And then if we're doing T3 is going to be a into 3 squared plus b into 3 plus c. This is 9a plus 3b plus c. Now if we say T4 minus T3, which is what is going to give us that 22, what we have is essentially going to be 16a plus 4b plus c minus 9a. Okay, now I'm losing time. I don't know why. 9a plus 3b plus c. So what do we get? 16 minus 9 is 7a. 4b minus 3b is plus b, c minus c. Can you see this is correct? So this is just your notes. You can put these on your rough and on your rough work. Because you see, your rough work is nice because if you show it, sometimes someone may be curious, how did you get that? Maybe you copied. If you show it on your rough work, it's good. Because also you're trying to save your space on your actual answer sheet. So please always make sure you present your rough work. Don't go around. So 2a is 6. Therefore a is 3. This implies that 7 into 3 plus b is equal to 22. Therefore b is, now this is 21. When it comes this side, we just get 1, okay? Which also implies, now, this is term 3. Now this is term 3. Term 3 in a quadratic sequence is what? Is that one. So this is 9a plus 3b plus c equaling that. Okay, so we just simply substitute. So this is 9 into 3 plus 3 into 1 plus c is equal to 27. So therefore c is going to be equal to, this is 27 plus 3, 30. When you transpose there, we get a minus 3. Therefore Tn is equal to 3n squared plus n minus 3. So let's see. Again, once you get here, let's check if this is correct. So I'm going to check this term and perhaps this term. Sometimes it's nicer when you test non-contiguous terms because coincidences will surprise you. So this is term 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is term 5. Okay, just substitute there. So I'm definitely getting 77. Let's see what happens. This is 6, 7. So let's see when we put term 7. It's definitely 151, so I know without a shadow of a doubt that my answer is correct. So sorting out those ones. Is this mark, so we've got how many marks? 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is easy, folks. Let's do it. So we've got 3.3. We're told here, between which two consecutive terms of the quadratic sequence is the first difference equals or equaling 418. Okay, so this is easy. We can say just Tn, which is the nth term, minus the term previous to it. Again, it's very important to notice that we are saying this should be equal to 418. Okay, now the Tn is 3n squared plus n minus 3 minus. So this is going to be 3. Now we substitute n minus 1 where we see n. This is equal to 418. Okay, this implies that 3n squared plus n minus 3 minus, we sort this out, 3 into n squared minus 2n plus 1 plus n minus 1 minus 3 is equal to 418. Okay, maybe this approach is a bit hectic, but familiarize yourselves with these things. Your logic needs to kick in when you're sorting up these questions. I always like to do what I'm given, some justice, rather than to always look for something else. But here what you could do, you could go back until you find the first term of the first differences Then you sort up the general term. You equate it to 418 and you solve for n. That could work, but it's still going to be a bit of work as well. So let's sort this one out. It's 3n squared minus 6n plus 3 plus n minus 1 minus 3 equals 418. Now, there's a lot of things that happen. 3 minus 3 out. And then minus 6 plus that. Now we just go step by step of where to, or else too much telling or summarizing is always going to hurt people. Ne? 3n squared, this is minus 5n, and then minus 1, because the 3 is cancelled, right, is equal to 418. Now we FOIL things out. 3n squared plus n minus 3. Sorry for that. This is 3n squared. I don't know, when I start talking, there's this tendency now to have a bit of a throat here, and I don't understand. Again, we have a situation. So when these situations keep happening, you know you're doing the right thing. But if they're not happening, be careful. So this is 5 plus 1, that is 6n, equals, this is minus 3 plus 1, that is minus 2. We transpose here, we get 420. Therefore, n is equal to, let's see, 420 divided by 6 is 70. So can you see, when we plug 70 where n is, this is 70 minus 69. So we can say, therefore, 418 is the difference between T70 and T69. Now that answer is complete. Okay, maybe this one was a bit of a higher grade question. Lots of work, less pay. Okay, so essentially this substitution is important and sorting up n, however we ended up doing it, and the conclusion, because that is answering the question. So let's go to question 4. So that was also 8 marks. Okay, those were still them cry nice, ne? Question 4. Kama cry nice lawana. Ezikhala kahle. Tsemonate fela. Wawutlwa. Asiyenke. So now the first two terms of a geometric sequence are these ones. So this is a geometric progression. So 4.1, we are given a GP, the Gauteng province. First term is x, second term is x plus 1. And then this sequence continues. Since we're being told this is a GP, this becomes our first term. And essentially, this tells us that our R is going to be the second term divided by the first term, because that's all we've got. Again, we're taking this from some logic. Okay, some logic, given the information that we're given. So let's answer the questions. 4.1.1 says write down the common ratio. Lovely. So you get your mark. So can you see you've done the work before it was even asked? So don't need to be invited to do basic things. Write down the third term. It says write down. Can you see? Write down it says write down. So a write down, it says just write, okay? T3 is equal to, obviously it's going to be the second term multiplied by the common ratio there. So this is already going to be x plus 1 all squared, because when you multiply this and that, you get that. Divide by the denominator. So easy. But you can use any formula in the GP to find any term. You calculate until you get this. You should be fine. So this is 2 marks. Easy. So 4.1.3. It says if x is equal to 2, will the sequence converge? Well, we will find out. Now we know that for a convergent series, r has to be less than 1, greater than minus 1. If r is outside this domain, then the series does not converge. So let's find out. So r is equal to x plus 1 over x, which is 2 plus 1 over 2. This is basically 3 over 2, which is 1,5. Okay, now we can see that since r is outside the domain r less than 1, greater than minus 1, it is therefore conclusive that the sequence will not converge. Okay, we know that r is greater than 1. Great. So that is it. So there's many ways of saying this. You can say it in as many ways as you want. Just make sure what you are saying makes absolute sense. So essentially, what is important here is substituting x to find an r and making this conclusion. However you did it, that's what matters here. So 4.2. 4.2 says the given sequence below has 4 terms only. Can you see that? It's highlighted for us. Such that the first 3 terms, this is T1, T2, T3, form an arithmetic sequence. Okay? Now, we pause right there. So we know that we've got this sequence, 6, A, B, 16, and then this goes on. We don't care what it is, but you can see this one is smartly put. So we are told here that the AP, which is the arithmetic progression, is T1 to T3. So this is 6, A, and B. And then this one goes on. And in an arithmetic sequence, what do we know? 6 is our A value. And essentially, that's what is important. And then we know that between these 2 terms, A minus 6 must be equal to B minus A, right? Because each one gives us the common difference, right? So these are the things to worry about sometimes. These are the same, but looked at differently. Sometimes my 6 looks like a B, so you will forgive me, eh? And then let's have a look. I told you that the last 3 terms form a geometric sequence. So now the geometric sequence starts from T2. So this is again A, B, and 16. This is a geometric sequence. So this is our first term. Okay, and then we know that B over A must be equal to 16 over B, right? This is again R. Okay, so these are things you don't need invites to do, guys. Please, 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 please don't give yourself a steep hill unnecessarily. These things are easy. Once they volunteer what progression you've got, certain characteristics need to be clarified without wasting time. Now it says calculate the values of A and B, so that's fine. We can see that from above, we can say here, we know that A minus 6 is equal to B minus A. Then what we can do here, we can say therefore B, or we can say each equal to D in the arithmetic progression. So that means B is going to be, we transpose that, it becomes 2A minus 6. We make that equation 1. We need simultaneous equations here. So we can say also, we can tell that B over A is going to be equal to 16 over B. Again, each is equal to R in a geometric progression. Not in Gauteng province. Then we cross multiply there. This implies that B squared is equal to 16A. We can make that equation 2. Now, our job is to put 1 into 2, such that we've got, now B squared, where we see B, we're going to put 2A minus 6 all squared is equal to 16A, which implies this is going to be 4A squared minus 6 by 6 is 12, and that by 2 is 24. A plus 36 is equal to 16A. Then we sort up this, it's 4A squared minus, now that becomes minus 40A plus 36 equal to 0. Actually, we can divide by 4 throughout. So this would be A squared minus 10A plus 9 equal to 0. Now we can factorize. So a lot of maths, folks, is important. So this is minus 1 minus 9. Therefore, our A is 1. For our A is equal to 9. Which also implies that our B is going to be 2 into 1 minus 6, or B is going to be 2 into 9 minus 6. This becomes minus 4. This becomes, this is basically going to be 18 minus 6, that is 12. Alright, so here we don't have a choice but to try and check this against the derived equations. There's nothing we can do about it. But I would rather, before we messed up everything, just check it against those ones. You know, these ones there. So here we've got a B of minus 4 divided by A is 1. So we've got 1 there. So we get a minus 4 here. Right? Minus 4. And then 16 divided by minus 4 is minus 4. So I can accept these solutions. Then we take this one again and say B is 12. So 12 over 9, which is 4 over 3. And then there we've got 16 divided by 12. Again, it's 4 over 3. So these solutions are acceptable. So what is key here? Try to take the most original in this case, because these derivatives, or the ones that we derived, we may have made mistakes, so be careful. So check them against the originals. You can even check them against this one also. If it checks out, it means you've done your job properly. So we've got 4 marks already, so substituting one into the other is essentially golden. Alright guys, so this is again a question that probably is not as easy as we would like, but at the same time it's not out of the ordinary, is it? So even I'm a cry nice, but maybe slightly inclined to a higher grade question. But I think any matriculant could handle that. Okay guys, so we've sorted these questions. So let's get to question 4. Okay, question 4. Which is now what we enjoy, functions. This is question 5. I'm still stuck to question 4. This was question 5. Okay. Not a problem. So this is functions, folks. Let's do it. Work to do. Alright, so what we're given here is the graph of G. So G of x is minus 3 over 3 minus x minus 1. So for me, I always write this in standard format because this is not standard format. So when we factor out the negative will cancel the top, so we get a plus 3 over x minus 3 minus 1. So this is how it should be written properly. So they wrote it in a way to confuse you. But that is the way. So when you see something unusual, put it in standard format, then you will be sorted. So let's go for it. 5.1. I told you, write down the equations of the asymptotes of G. So we know that x is going to be equal to 3, y is going to be equal to minus 1. See, we take the opposite value of that number there, and we take that as it is. And that is it. So we get a mark for each. 5.2. I told you, calculate the x and y intercepts of G. So we can start for x-intercept. It is such that we've got here 0 is equal to 3 over x minus 3 minus 1. This implies that 1 is equal to, so let's say 1 over 1 is equal to x minus 3. Then we cross multiply there. This implies that x minus 3 is equal to 3. Therefore, x is going to be equal to 6. Therefore, the x-intercept is 6 is to 0. Okay. That is number 1. Okay, great. The second one, for y-intercept, it is such that g of 0 is equal to 3 over 0 minus 3 minus 1. This one is minus 2. Okay, you can say therefore the y-intercept is given by 0 and minus 2. And be careful of the notation on how you separate the coordinates. Okay, the coordinate pair is separated by a semicolon, not a comma, because problems will come when you've got 0, 5. If you're using a comma, and say for example 2, 5, can you see everything has a comma, and that becomes incorrect. Okay, or if you try and resolve this mess by putting a dot for a comma, That in maths means multiplication. So be careful of the notation in your curriculum. Don't adopt anything that is from other curriculi or curriculums. Ne? So be careful. Don't do things that you don't know. Our curriculum has always been this way. So keep it that way. So folks, this is it. That is our solutions. And we've got those two solutions. So let's see. We're getting, obviously here by substituting a 0, it's important. And substituting a 0 there is important. So how many marks are we getting? 3. Come on, bruh. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, what we can do to adjust this mess, I guess you're getting a mark for a full coordinate. And then we can simply say for substituting the zeros anyway, you're getting the extra mark. Okay, maybe we can mark it here. And you can mark it there. It doesn't matter. So 3 marks, that's ridiculous. It should be 4. Anyway, let's not cry too much. So 5.3. What is it? Draw the graph of G showing all asymptotes and intercept of the axis. So that's easy. So let's just do it quickly. Okay guys, there is our graph. So nice and easy. So when you're doing a sketch, you're just doing a sketch. Don't be doing silly things, alright? So captures the intercepts, any one of them, and then the shape is important, and our asymptotes. So that is great. So this is how those 3 marks are scored. So 5.4 says determine the equation of the axis of symmetry of G with a negative gradient. Great. So we know that the axis of symmetry with a negative gradient is such that y is equal to minus into x minus p plus q. This implies that y is equal to minus. I will just take the equation as it is. This is x minus 3 minus 1. Then we can make our conclusion, therefore, that y is going to be minus x. It's going to be plus 3 minus 1 is going to be plus 2. So this is a quick way to sort this out. Okay. Very easy. The substitution and the answer gives us those marks. So this gives us Amanandi nice, isn't it? Amakrai nice. So this question was kept nice and easy, the standard grade 11 way. So let's get to question 6. What is question 6 all about? Now, because of flex is unlucky, you know, most where there's a parabola, there's always work. Now, the graphs of a parabola, which is f, and a straight line G, intersect at P. So we can see that point of intersection and S. And essentially S is an x-intercept of both graphs. Okay. Now R is this point minus a half is to 0. Once you see 0 as a coordinate pair, it means that's an x-intercept. So this means we are here. That's an x-intercept. And then T is 1 is 2 minus 12. So this is a point, any point on the graph. Okay. On the parabola. And Q 0 is to 2 is a point on the graph of G. But this piece of information is essentially saying if we have got x coordinate as 0, this means this is the y-intercept of G. Okay, and we can see that it is so over there. So we've got that information covered. Now we're told V is the turning point of F. That's good. So we can see you there, turning point of the parabola, and the straight line makes an angle of 45 degrees with the x-axis. So that will give us the gradient. of that line. So easy. Now it says, show that the equation of G is essentially like that. Okay, great. This is easy. So what are we going to say? We're going to start by saying 6.1. We know that essentially, what do we see? We can see that the gradient of G is going to be equal to the tangent of minus 45 degrees. Why? Because you can see this angle is the negative angle. So when you go clockwise, these become negative angles. Or, alternatively, one can put it this way and say the gradient of G, it's not mg, it's not the mass times gravitational acceleration, is going to be the tan of 180 degrees minus 45 degrees. Can you see that? So essentially this angle in any case remains negative, because we know that 10 in the second quadrant is negative. So however you want to see this, it's as good as you see it, because technically the angle of inclination that you are looking for is this one. Okay, but that one is going to be 180 minus the 45 if you want to show it like that, or you just say the 10 of minus 45. So this is going to be equal to minus 1. Okay, so that's easy. And then the next one we can say, since Q, the point 0 is to 2, is, maybe let's not say since, we can say also, we know that Q is the y-intercept of G. Again, we can just say C diagram. It is obvious. It's like that. This is where that graph cuts the y-axis. We can say therefore G of x is equal to the gradient, which is minus 1. We don't really write the 1, so it's going to be minus x plus 2. So this is easy. They said show. That's why we are explaining every step of the way. So essentially, getting the gradient and that equation. In fact, that equation is given, so identifying those two is important. Putting it together was already what was done. Okay, let's move on. 6.2 says, write down the coordinates of S. Can you see? The question says, write down. That means do it by inspection. Obviously, for x-intercept, you make y 0. You transpose the 2, you solve for x. X is going to be a 2. So this is 2 and 0. Okay, so we can write it down. 2 is to 0. That is S over there. Again, you're getting a mark for each one of those coordinates. But we did this by inspection because the answer says write down. We don't need to do so much. 6.3. What is the story there? It says now show. The equation of f is like this. So now that is a bit of a situation. But the good thing is we've got two x-intercepts and a point on the graph of f. So this is easy. So we can say that f of x is a into x minus the first root into x minus the second root. So we're doing the root form of our f. This implies that our f is going to be a into x minus a 0, 5 is minus a half into x minus 2. So that is great. And then we can say through point t, which is 1 is 2 minus 12, it is such that minus 12 is equal to a into 1 plus a half into 1 minus 2. So basically, essentially, okay, yeah, this is fine. We can say here essentially, therefore, our a value, can you see what is going to happen? This is minus 1 times 3 over 2. So we're just simply going to have 12 divided by 3 over 2. So that gives us an 8. So this is already saying kitting is done. We are sorted. We can see that the coefficient of x squared is sorted. So we're in the right path. So this implies that our f of x is going to be equal to 8 into x plus a half into x minus 2. Now we simply do FOIL method here. So x into, this is going to be x squared. Now a half minus 2, this is minus 1,5, which is 3 over 2x. Then this one multiplied by 2, this gives us a minus 1. Okay, we finally FOIL. This is 8x squared minus this one, 8 divided by 2, it's 4. 4 times 3, it's 12. X minus 8. And yes, it is indeed how they are giving it to us. So this is again grade 11 work. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. So essentially, this write-up is important. This substitution is important. And the value of a is essentially important. And then substituting everything back is important. Essentially, maybe let's just try and gift you a mark here for this gymnastic, right? Because, I mean, this is still algebra. The answer was already volunteered. You just had to connect it logically. So that is how we score those 4 marks. Then the next question, 6.4, says, determine. Now, determination can be by inspection or by calculation. The coordinates of V, the turning point of F. Okay, easy. At V, we know that V is such that the x coordinate at V is the average between those two turning points. So it's going to be x at R plus x at S over 2. Okay, which is going to be minus 0,5 plus 2 over 2. So what is that? This is basically 1,5 divided by 2. This is 3 over 4. Sorry, this is 3 over 4 because 1,5 is 3 over 2 times that 2 is going to be 3 over 4. Let's just check on the calculator. Sorry, minus 0,5 plus 2 divided by 2. Yes, it's 3 over 4. We can say now y at V is going to be f of 3 over 4, right? Which is going to be equal to 8 into 3 over 4 squared minus 12 into 3 over 4 minus 8. What is that? So we've got 8 into 3 over 4 squared minus 12 into 3 over 4 minus 8. So guys, maintain vigilance here. This is minus 25 over 2. Oh. So what do we see there? We can say therefore V is the point 3 over 4 is to minus 25 over 2. Can you see the importance of this notation for separating the coordinates? Because it would have been a nightmare if you wanted to show these as decimals. Then you would have too many commas and there would be no sense in what you are doing. So guys, watch out. I'm gonna cry nice la, but if I wadli kahle uzolimala. So this is important and that step is important, and maybe the final answer, who cares? But technically the answer is there. The answer is there, right? Okay, all right. Now that we have done that, 3 marks, nice and easy. 6.5 says, use the graph to determine the values of k if f of x is equal to k has 2 distinct unequal roots. Now this is a question on nature of the roots, so this is a higher grade question and it's there to burn you up. Now abasadlali manje ama-cry nice sebeyaphela ke manje, sebekuglisela ngamathambo, sekufanele uhlafune lapho. Now guys, there's 2 ways of thinking through this problem. One of the ways to sort this out, f of x is equal to k, is suggesting that we've got the parabola f and is equal to this graph of k. So what do we know? We know that technically we've got f of x, which is that parabola 8x squared minus 12x minus 8. And then we've got y is equal to k. So we've got 2 graphs here. This is how you want to think about it in the way that it is given. So you can see that since we already have the parabola on our sketch, our key now is to work out this function right here. And we can see that k is a constant. So this means it's a straight line graph that is perfectly horizontal. So now let's go for it and say, look, what if we suggest our graph is here? This is the line y equals k. It can be anywhere, it's variable, right? So let's try and work things out. Now we want to vary this position and see what happens. Let's say we take this graph into that turning point. Can you see there's only one point of contact between the parabola and this line? So this means this does not satisfy the fact that we want 2 x values at the point of intersection. So this only gives us 1. And if we take it below that point, we can see there is no point of contact between the two. Again, it does not satisfy the equation. So we move it up. Can you see we got one x-intercept there and another x-intercept, or you can say it's an x-coordinate at the point of contact, and you can see those two are unequal. And this continues as we put it up all the way to the x-axis and above and beyond. Can you see this goes until infinity? So what is technical here is that this point must not be there, but it can be anywhere above that value. So what does this suggest? It suggests essentially that our k value must be greater than the y value at that turning point, which is this guy here. So we are suggesting that our y value must be greater than that y coordinate. So we can say here essentially for 2 unequal roots, it will be such that k must be greater than minus 25 over 2. And obviously this is all your thought process, guys. This is not supposed to show up at all. This separation here is not necessary. So this is just your thought process. You can say these are your notes, or this is your thought. Okay, so this is what probably would show up in your rough work when you are trying to reason this. But what is important is the answer right here. What is important is the answer. As you can see, it's just 1 mark. But they're hiding the fact that you have to think of these two graphs as two graphs intersecting one another in that manner. And essentially, this helps you to work out the problem. Okay, so now here's another way to think about it. Because you always have options. With these kinds of questions, you need to be smart. So let's say again we're given this f of x equals k. So we are implying that this is f of x minus k equal to 0. Can you see? We are transforming this into yet a quadratic. Now look at this quadratic. How could you solve this quadratic so that we've got two distinct unequal roots? Now this suggests we have a vertical shift, because now this looks like a vertical shift of our f. Okay, again, this is your thought process. So how can you shift f vertically so that we have two distinct unequal roots? As you can see, this is already in a position where we've got these distinct unequal roots. Okay, but now we want to shift this dude vertically and see what happens when we do that. So can you see, if we move f down, we continue to have two distinct unequal roots, so it's no trouble at all. But when we move it up, we continue to have these two distinct unequal roots. And then this continues, but when we get here, can you see we only have one root? So meaning we have moved our f this vertical distance, which is the y coordinate at that turning point. That is 25 over 2 units. So if we move it 25 over 2 units up, we end up with only one root, and that's not what we want. And if we move this one further, you see that we actually lose these roots. So again, it doesn't satisfy the equation. So now we have to move it to here. So that is the limit of moving it up, but there is no limit in moving it down. Can you see? There's no limit in moving it down, but the limit is there. We can't get beyond that 25 over 2 units if we're moving it up. So how do we explain this now? We can say safely here, for two unequal roots, it will be such that now we can see that in this equation k is negative minus k must be less than, remember we are saying k cannot be a number that is 25 over 2 units or beyond, because if it is 25 over 2 units, then that means we're moving this up those units and we end up with one root, and we want two distinct roots. If we move it beyond that number, we lose even the roots. So it has to be a number less than this vertical distance of 25 over 2 units. So we're going to just write it this way and say this is 25 over 2 units. Can you see? And therefore, when you solve for k now, you multiply by negative, the sign changes. And that still gives you the same answer. Okay. Now, guys, this is cool. So these are the techniques to try and nail questions like this, because, again, this is just your thought process, or this is your notes. You don't really need to show us this one. So these are still your notes, or you can say this is your thought process, and it could easily be on your rough work, essentially. So all you do here, you just sort this thing out nice and easy. Okay, so this is how you do it. And essentially, when they say determine, you can just write the answer only. So in fact, all of these things, this is just your working on your rough work. Okay, it should not really be an issue. So this is all your work. So all we care about is the answers. Okay, now let me show you another technique. You still have options here, because let's just show you how to solve this matter without panicking. Essentially, what do we have here? We have got f of x is equal to k. This implies that f of x minus k is equal to 0. And then what is f of x? This is 8x squared minus 12x minus 8 minus k equal to 0. Then we can use our standard grade 11 nature of the roots, which is saying now for unequal roots, it is such that the discriminant must be greater than 0. Is it not so? Yes. So for unequal roots, the discriminant must be greater than 0. This implies that b squared minus 4ac must be greater than 0. So that is a, that is b, and c is this complex term. Okay, so this implies that we've got minus 12 squared minus 4 into 8 into minus 8 minus k greater than 0. Now when you do stuff here properly, this is going to be 144 minus, actually this is going to be 4 by 8, which is 32. Right, so this is going to be minus 32 times minus 8, which is going to be 256, okay? And then minus, which is going to be a plus, this is 32k greater than 0. And then what do we have here? This implies that 32k is greater than, we transpose this guy to the other side. Why do I feel like my signs are not doing the things now? My signs are starting to freak me out. Something is not adding up. Something is not adding up. This is minus 32 minus this one becomes, yeah. Okay, let's say plus 144. This is equal to 400. And then we transpose it to this side. This is minus 400. Okay, and then we can conclude that k is greater than 400 divided by 32 is 25 over 2. Again, that is negative. Okay, so you could easily think about it this way, but what matters is the answer. The rest is your workings. So guys, you've got options here. There's no need to lose these marks. I'm sorry that I'm wasting time, but I'm just trying to show you how it's done so that you cannot say you can't do this. So this is essentially doing it algebraically. Algebraically. Okay, so master your algebra, it will save you. Yes, it's 1 mark, but that's the difference between a distinction and a fail. Okay, so you may need 1 mark just to pass, you may need 1 mark to get to a distinction, 1 mark to get to 100%. So don't be throwing, I'm a 90 nice here. 6.6, so I'm a cry nice. Okay, that question is a bit technical, but you can see it's easy to work it out. Now it says for which values of x is, now can you see this f prime is saying the gradients of f, and then this g prime of x is saying the gradients of g. So now when we multiply these together, I saw a nice technique from colleagues showing this one. When you multiply a negative and a positive, you get an answer that is less than 0, right? And that's what we want, or vice versa. We still get an answer. So we want to look for this, but now let's look at these two graphs. The graph of g, okay, we can remove this guy. It was a means to an end. Okay, maybe. We don't care anymore. Okay, so this was 2 and 0. And I think that's the only thing that got messed up. Otherwise, other things are fine. All right, so let's see now. What do we see when we look at G, for example? G already has a negative gradient. Can you see that? So G's gradient is already negative. Okay, now what do we want? We want now gradients of f to be positive. So that means this is how we want our solutions to be. They must follow this one, because that possibility is already out. So can you see? It's a lot of work, but not so much to gain. But the other thing that we can see is that if you draw a tangent on this side on f, can you see that tangent carries a negative gradient? So this means all the way to the turning point on that side, the tangents are negative. But if we draw a tangent on this side to try and determine the character of our what you call the things that must to be called, so we can see that this is a positive gradient. So essentially what separates this is the turning point. So the x-coordinate at the turning point is what will separate this. So we know that from that x-coordinate going in this direction, we will be able to solve our problem. So let's see, this is our axis of symmetry, and we just papela so that we saw that this is 3/4, right there. So we can see here that essentially from this 3/4, if we go in that direction, we are essentially going to get the product, which is this gradient is a positive, multiplied by that gradient, which is a negative. It gives us a value less than 0. So we can see here that x must be greater than 3/4. So this is how you work this out. Of course, you can see there's a lot of thinking before you can get to this solution. Nice and easy. Okay, so again, this is another technical question, which is there to cause you a bit of a discomfort if you're not sure of yourself. Now, 6.7 says a new graph of h is obtained by first reflecting the graph of f about the y-axis. So this is a horizontal reflection. This means you multiply -1 with the x values. Okay, so that is what we do. So we're going to say -1 multiplied by x. So that means on the graph of f, we multiply all the x values by -1. That's a horizontal reflection. And then it is shifted in the upward direction. So that's a vertical shift. Now a vertical shift up, we're going to add, some value. Okay, we're going to add some positive y values. Okay. Now, or maybe a constant. Maybe let's just say we are adding a constant k. If we choose, that should be k. Now it says so that the x-axis is the tangent to the new graph. So now that means we are shifting this turning point right to be sitting on the x-axis. So we're shifting it upward. This 25/2 units. So now we can see that we are essentially doing that. That's what we're doing. So it's nice when you interpret things nicely. Otherwise, it becomes a nightmare. And it says write down. Can you see they're only interested in the answer? The coordinates of point T, the image of T, which lies on the graph of H. So this is easy. So 6,7. We know that T prime is going to be, now we take the coordinates of T. The x coordinate is 1. We multiply it by -1. Okay. And what do we do to the y coordinate? It's -12. We are only going to add 25/2 because that's what we're doing. So therefore our T prime is going to be -1, and this is going to be 24 minus 25, so it's going to be -1/2. No, it's a +1/2, sorry. Okay, so that is the coordinates of t. Of course, they said show us the answer, but I was just giving you the thought process behind. Okay, because when they say write down, they expect this guy buffet. You start writing your own things, they will mark you there and say that is not the answer, but technically that is the answer. But it's not finished, is it not? So maybe you can get away if you write it, but stay away from writing things that you're not asked. Just use this as a means to an end. So this is your notes again, or your rough work. So the answer is this one. So you're getting a mark. Essentially the mark is this one and that one. However you got it, and that is 15 marks in the bag. Okay, all right, okay. So even I'm cry nice, but I still feel this is also another question that you can say, yeah, be careful. Inganikeza yellow card if I was serious. So be careful of transformations, so it makes life a lot easier. So let's move, guys, quickly. Question 7. Of course, for you, you write on the new page, but here I can write anywhere I want. Now let's move, guys. In the diagram, we've got the graph of f, which is a logarithmic function. So now let's see, where is f? F is this graph right here. Okay, so that's the graph of f. Maybe let's outline it rather. I hope I will not be so... Ooh. So there's the graph of f. And then we've got the graph of the inverse. So we've got those two graphs. So this is the inverse of f. Okay, not a problem. And then we're told point A is -1:4, lies on the graph of the graph of the inverse. Okay, so there's point A, we can see it, not a problem. But now let's inspect this inverse function. Can we see the graph of f, which is that function, the logarithmic function? It is a decreasing function. So if it is a decreasing function, it means our a here, which is our base, a here is less than 1 and greater than 0. So that is the characteristic that we need to find out. How do we know this? It's because this a is the base. So the inverse is going to be an exponential function. So which means it's going to be y is equal to a to the exponent x. It's going to be the inverse of that. So that a, again, as you can see, this is a decreasing function. The inverse function is a decreasing function. So it suggests the same story. So guys, be comfortable with your mathematics. Otherwise, shisambam. Otherwise, no cry nice la. Yeah, it is kalagal. Okay, great. So let's see. It says now write down the coordinates of A, the image of A, after the reflection in this line. Now this is the inverse line, essentially. So we're trying to suggest that we're looking for A in this point. So this is our A prime. So what should be the coordinates are? Now the inverse of A, we just switch the coordinates, is going to be 4 and -1. Okay, so this suggests that this x coordinate is at 4 and that y coordinate is at -1. Okay. So that is what we are getting there. So that is what we are getting. So essentially, the question said write down. So we do exactly that. 7.1, we know that A prime is going to be the switch of those coordinates. So you're getting 1 mark. So they knew that that was a piece of cake. 7.2. It says now show that the value of A is a quarter. Can you see that's a value less than 1, greater than 0? So it makes life easier, right? And why should a be greater than 0? We never have a negative base, do we? We don't accept that. Because if we change that to a log, you will see that we can't take a log of a negative. Ne? Nice. So that is why these things must be like that. That is why those things must be like that. So we can use the logarithmic function. So we know that f of x is the log of x to the base a. Now we have a point a prime, which is why they asked us that question. So this is 4 is to minus 1. It will be such that minus 1 is the log of 4 to the base a. Now we convert this to exponential form. So this is a to the minus 1 equals 4. Now we use positive exponents. This is 1 over a equals 4 over 1. Cross multiplication, you can see there that a is a quarter. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. So it's done. Ipeta heads and that. Good great you. Now what do we do here? For this substitution into a particular formula, it is important. And perhaps the gymnastics before to they explain why the answer it is like that. Okay, all right, okay. So that was an easy 2 marks. 7.3, it says determine the equation of the inverse of f in that format. So essentially we know that since when they say determine here, the stories become important. We can say since f of x is going to be the log to the base a quarter of x. Now we know it means the inverse. Therefore, the inverse of f will be such that y is equal to a quarter to the exponent x. Ne? Yeah, it becomes an exponential function. So I'm doing this by inspection because I'm only getting 1 mark for the answer. But I'm trying to show where this is coming from. So that story is important. Okay, let's do 7.4. 7.4 says calculate the length of AB. Okay, but now we need to find the coordinates of B. What are the coordinates of B? Can we see that this is the logarithmic function? So it is not shifted about. So this should be 1. So you should know this one off by heart. Why? Because the y-intercept of the other one is 0 is to 1. So we switch those values in the inverses. So again, this is good. So you can just write B is 1 is to 0. And then how do you know this? This is the x-intercept of f. So you're just trying to show how you got that. But now you don't have time because there's not so many marks. We can say now AB is going to be, we'll use our distance formula, x at B minus x at A all squared plus y at B minus y at A all squared. Now we can try and substitute into the correct formula. So x at B is 1 minus that one is going to be plus 1 all squared. Now y at B is 0 minus 4 all squared. Now let's put it onto the calculator and not waste our time. So this is 1 plus 1 squared plus 4 squared. You win. So this gives us a 2 root 5. Yes, that would have been a 20. 2 root 5 units. Okay, because we don't have measurements there. So don't forget units backward. If you forget it, you are dead. So essentially determining the coordinates of B is important however you did it. And then substituting here and getting us the answer. We are happy. 7.5. Ish, guys, I'm losing the time. I thought I'm going to conserve. Ish. Write down the value or values of x for which f of x is less than 1. we can see that if you focus on this region, so if you focus on this region, you can clearly see that when x is 4, y is -1. But as we move further in this direction, you can see that as we move further in this direction, because 1 is not included, we can see that the y values are dropping to below -1. So this simply means that x should be greater than 4. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. We get that mark. So can you see, this was an easy 8 marks to take. I'ma cry nice. I'ma cry nice. I'ma cry nice. Why born for Newcastle? So let's do question 8. For you, you should be doing this on a new page. Me, I'm doing it on this page. Let's move. Minentle bought a laptop for 15 scoto 38. Yeah, she's a cheese girl. Ne? She's eating them cheese. Buying laptops of this amount. Cheese girl. Ne? But there's nothing wrong being a cheese girl. It means someone's parents worked hard. Now the laptop depreciates, okay, at 12% per annum on a reducing balance. So this is giving away essentially the formula that we should use here. Okay, after how many years will the value of this laptop depreciate to 10 scotos 37? Okay, not a problem. This is an easy question. 8.1. So we know that a is equal to b into 1 minus I to the exponent n. Okay. So this implies the money we are depreciating to is a value, because that is what will happen in the future. So this is 10,767.26 cents is equal to now the present value, which is today's values, 15 scored or 38 into 1 minus, express that as a decimal, it's 0.12, then to the exponent n, which is what we are looking for. So this implies that we've got essentially 10,767.26. We divide by 15 scored or 38 is equal to 1 minus 0.12 to the exponent n. Here we are applying algebra, so I'm not interested in showing you the steps. You should know what happened. You divide by 15,800 both sides. But now this forces us to introduce logs, because we have what we're looking for on the exponent. So this is 10,767.26 over 15,800 is going to be equal to the log of 1 minus 0.12 to the exponent n. At this juncture, n is going to be the log. Since we're going to divide by this log eventually, it's going to be log to the base 1 minus 0.12 of that number, 10,767.26 all over 15,800. Yes, it's wrong. So let's see what happens in there. So we have a nice log function there, 1 minus 0.12, and then we've got this one, 10,767.26 divided by 15,800. What are we getting? We're getting rounded off to 2 decimal places. It gives us 3 years. Kidi jara tsetharu ntate. Iminyaka emithathu is 3 years. It's 3 years so. Watseba Basotho ba utsitse Africans ba yetsa leleme la bona. Wa bona ntwena a go shebe le dipere. In Africans that's pert, pert. Ba re ke pere. Wa bona lona Basotho le tshwanetse o bua se sekgowa se seng sa Dutchland, ha ke batla o sebetsa ka lebitso lena le sa nepahang. le reng hana lebitso le sa nepa tloela ntwena ha ya nepahala hantle man tse sa nepahalang hantle ne ke batla ho tjho jwale ntwena yanketsa hore ke ilome leleme la ka o tseba ho phapa ka nnete ke engwe ntho. All right, folks, substitution is the important thing, and essentially introducing the logs or essentially applying the logarithmic rule. I think this is the one, and then we're getting the marks, 3 marks. But this one can be added there because this gymnastic is important. Without it, we are helpless. So 8.2 says calculate the effective yearly interest rate. Wow. This question is crazy, is it not? If an investment offers a nominal interest, so this one is the nominal interest of 7.64% compounded half yearly. Okay, that one is an easy one. So we know that this is 1 plus effective interest. Interest is going to be equal to 1 plus this I nominal over this compounding period, which we're going to multiply by that period. Sometimes I'm not sure about this equation by words. Please can you double check it up? Sometimes young shy impela. So this is 1 plus EFF, the economic freedom fighters. Can you believe this thing? These guys are showing up in maths. How ridiculous. Party of hooligans. Anyway, let's go on. What is that interest? The nominal interest is 7.64. So when you show up as a decimal, it's going to be 0.0764. Ne? Now divided by 2 because we're saying half yearly. And we multiply that thing by 2. So now what does this mean? This means our effective interest, which is the EFF, I hope not, is going to be this bracket 1 plus 0.0764 over 2 all to the exponent 2. We transpose the 1, we subtract the 1, and we multiply that whole shenanigan by 100% because this thing must be a percentage. Therefore, our EFF is going to be, let's find out. So I've got 1 plus 0.0764 over 2. This is all squared minus 1. We close that and then we multiply by 100. So I'm getting a 7.79%. Now, if this thing is close to what we had, of course, the effective is always bigger than the nominal. So we can see that these ones are fractions of one another. So technically, we should accept this answer as correct. If we got an outrageously big answer, then that would mean we have done some shenanigans that we should suffer for. So essentially, folks, this is the substitution and the answer. That is the 2 marks. Nice and easy. 8.3, that's so. It's 8.3. Yeah. Is it 8? Yeah, it's 8. That one is 8. That one. Mandla, our Omindlos, is planning to buy a car in 2 years' time. Okay, he invests 35 in a savings account. Once you hear that word savings account, it means we're talking about a future value calculus at the end of each month for 2 years. So you see, end of the month for these 2 years, they're repeating themselves. That's tautology, starting in 1 month's time. So you see, the starting point is important, starting in 1 month's time. So this means this guy opens an account and doesn't pay money immediately. He will pay it at the end of the month so that he can use the money to deposit his car. His interest is calculated at 5.8% per month, compounded monthly. So these are key areas. I cannot overly emphasize the importance of a timeline. Yes, it sounds like an overkill. 2 years is 24 months. Right? Because we're doing this monthly. T0, he didn't put nothing. He put 0 amount there. But now at T1, he started putting 35 here. And then we don't need to complicate it. We just say tick, 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 tick. And then he's going to be putting 35 also there. So this is not just to be skillful or colorful. This is at 5.8% per annum compounded monthly. These are the gymnastics that will save you from yourself. Love word. 8.3.1, it says how much money will be there at the end of the 2 years. Okay, easy. Future value. So this is 8.3.1. We know that the future value is this one. So you need to know these things by heart so that you can cruise Buffett. Please work hard. This is 500 into 1 plus. Now that we show it as 0,058. This is over 12. This is all to the exponent 24 minus 1. All of that is divided by 0,058 over 12. Okay. The most important step here, guys, is this one, which is the substitutions. Otherwise, it will hurt like hell. If hell is any place that we can make an analogy of trouble. Okay? So, if you don't want it to hurt like hell, you make sure you watch out, or we will watch you like a hawk. 0,058. So guys, here please take your time. Don't be in a flipping hurry. This thing is going to flip you upside down. So this is now 12 square 6. 12 square 36. 91 bucks. 25 cents. To 2 decimal places. Remember, we were told to do it to 2 decimal places wherever necessary. Anyway, money, you cannot have 3 decimal places in money. There's only 2. So, now you're getting 3 marks here. The third mark is basically knowing how to find the period for which this account is going to be held. Okay, easy 3 marks, ne? Standard 3 marks, 8.3.2. Says now the cost of a car is 368 squares 34. That's a lot of money. So Mindlos just played. They saved 12 squares. Mandla uses all the money from his savings account as a deposit for his new car. Now he takes out a loan. You hear that bad word that you must always run away. Trust me, guys, stay away from these guys, especially in this lousy economy, or else I know you always feel like you have to rush into having things. There's no need. Just work and save. Don't be even a cheese girl and a cheese boy. You see those ones, their parents worked for them, which is good. Okay, they're reaping the benefits of somebody's hard work, which is correct. You yourself make yourself the one who can provide cheese to your children. Save money first. Don't start buying houses and cars and you start having big credits on yourself. You're gonna work yourself unnecessarily hard. Take 5 years out of comfort, man. You've been able to live on isonka neti. That's what I ate at university at some point. I was as skinny as hell, you know. I'm still skinny, but not the way I was. You could swear I'm dying. Someone even made a joke and said, yeah, people will go to varsity and come back with this thing called V3. You know that V3, that one that you drive to your grave, ne? That one thought I was having that V3 because, yeah, hey, just keep. Anyway, guys, enough of the stories. But what I'm trying to say is if you could live on bread and butter, when you start work, just eat that bread and butter a little bit more, just to, for the vibes, as they say nowadays. And then for 5 years, bafowethu, you just eat normal, decent, cheap meals. You wear normal, clean, cheap clothes. You drive a normal, cheap car. Just get to work and back home, okay? Don't be marrying anybody's daughter or anybody's son. Just stay away from those people. Sort yourself up. I'm telling you, in 5 years' time, you'll have enough money in your bank account to do anything you want. Remember, a house that is costing you maybe 1.2 million, you can negotiate half a price if you have that money in the bag. That means you may not rent your house. You may actually buy it and it's yours. Ne? And maybe the rest of your savings, you can pay up the money to just sort your house. In fact, you don't have to rush. You just buy the house and furnish it nicely, slowly but surely. Still eating your pap and tea there, or your drink and your bread and butter. Ne? Don't buy that car. Leave that car that you have. Continue with that score. Just need to take it up to 10 years. Now in 10 years, bafowethu, uzobe usunendlu yebhongo, unendlu unakho konke okudingayo. Then maybe you can take a bit of credit now, buy your dream car, because that will be the only credit you will have. Right. Because you still are going to want to marry someone and make a life of your own. Have children. You also want to help out at your home, your siblings and stuff. So bafowethu, angadlalwa ngesikhathi la. You don't want to spend the rest of your life poor and working for the banks. These banks don't offer you anything in terms of interest at all. Investment is a scam. Hear it from me. That thing is a scam. Unless you're ready to do crimes, money crimes or financial crimes, you really are not going to make it big there, believe me. But go ahead if you don't want to believe me. You will tell me about it someday. Anyway, let's keep moving bafowethu. Unfortunately, singomalambane, and it looks like sobangomalambane sesiyofa. Yes, akunankinga. As long as it's decent, dignity yethu ingadlakazwa nje phayana phaya. Nogcina isidima sakho mawungumuntu. Yes, if you work hard enough, you're gonna be rich, Maybe you become something great in life, huge business person, you own multiple businesses. Then you can start to have some investments that are probably things you can control. Maybe you will be rich, but not all of us are going to be rich. Be careful of that fallacy, thinking you are all going to be rich. You are all going to be financially what. But yes, we can all be financially what if we're using our heads. But not because we are rich, no. Being rich doesn't mean you'll be financially secure. Sometimes you are at risk. Even in your riches. That's not khulumela away, man. Just khuluma 20. Sesovalwa ngezinye izicima mlilo. So pay off the loan after pay off the balance after he takes out a loan to pay off the balance. So the balance is the story here. After paying the deposit, the interest is calculated at 10.4 per annum compounded monthly. Can you see? The bank is charging you 10.4% on a loan. But look how much they were giving you. Half of that when it is your money. That's just telling you the truth. This is not so far from the truth. Those things will rip you off. Hey, when you're keeping money in the bank, you're just keeping it from the Tsotsis, but you're actually giving it to the professional Tsotsis. Yes, but yeah, what can you do? There's nothing from my heart. Calculate monthly installments if the car is paid in 6 years time. So can you see that giving us the period? So this is great, guys. So timeline. So do the timeline bafowethu. So we know that T0, we are taking the loan. Now the loan is going to be the difference between these ones. Maybe let's move our timeline and just show you how this should be done properly. So we know that the loan amount is going to be equal to this 368 Scotos 400 minus that amount that this guy deposited, saved, 691.25. So what does that give us? What does that give us? It gives us 368,400 minus 12,691.25 cents. So this gives us a 355 scotos 37, $8.75. Nice. So that is the loan amount. Okay, maybe let's move our friend down a bit more. Don't like things to clash. So again, these questions, they require you guys to take a bit of time out, because you know what, now at T0, this is when we're taking that loan for the balance. So this is 355,708.75 cents. Then T1, this guy's gonna be paying, and now we want to know how much. So this is X rents. Then he will pay from T1 until the last term. So T6, this is 12 times 6, this is 72. Ne? So most likely, if you're looking at this, it is possible that we'll be paying an X amount, but be careful, the last payment is usually not exactly. It's usually not exactly that amount. So I would rather you be careful. These things have their own mind. So what we're doing here, we're doing this at 10.4% per annum, compounded monthly. Yeah, yenzeka kanjalo. Okay, now that we've sorted our things, we can start saying how much must you pay every month. So this is a present value calculation. So this is going to be X into 1 minus 1 plus I to the exponent minus n over I. Okay, this is easy, guys. Easy stuff. Actually, the present value is that loan amount. So this is 355,708.25 cents is equal to, this is what we're trying to find, 1 minus this one, 1 plus. Now this divided by, when we make it nominal, it's going to be 0.104 over 12 to the exponent minus. Now can you see the payments are going to be this minus that plus 1, right? Because there's that payment. So we remain with 72. Divide by. Now essentially, technically, this is going to be 0.104 over 12. Now folks, I know that gymnastics I cross multiply here. Okay, when I cross multiply, then divide. So I don't want to waste time, guys. You need to be time conservative now. This is 355. Oh, la 5 available lamp 708.25. Now we're multiplying this by that one, 0.104 over 12. Okay, all of that we're going to divide by the big bracket. So this is 1 minus 1 plus 0.104 over 12, all to the exponent minus 72, and we close. And that gives us the monthly payments. So Afwetu, this is crazy. 355,708.25 multiplied by 0.104 divide by 12. All of that divide by 1 minus 1 plus 0.104 divide by 12 to the exponent minus 72. So again here, the issue is ensure that your substitutions are on point. Otherwise, all your gymnastics are on point. Otherwise, kukhona inkinga ozohlangana nayo. 6,661 rands 77 cents. Oh, all right. To 2 decimal places. So this is our monthly installments. Okay, so great. That is easy, folks. So the most important was to calculate the loan amount and the substitution into a correct formula. That is, again, working out the period. The period is the third mark and the final answer. Okay, hoping that everything is going as it's supposed to. So this is now 8.3. It says now calculate the outstanding balance after paying the 56th payment. Okay, now if we go back to our timeline and say maybe our 56th payment is there, and of course we were going to pay the amount X, which is what we have over there. So now if we exclude this one, now we are simply going to have the difference between these two. So this is basically 72 minus 56. So that means we have 16 payments remaining. Okay, so can you see your timeline makes life a lot easier to work it out. So we can say the balance outstanding is going to be the present value after the 56th payment. Okay, which is going to be equal to x into 1 minus 1 plus I to the exponent minus n all over I. So I find calculating the outstanding balance using the present value is important, but what is important here is the 6,661.77 cents. And then we are multiplying this 1 minus into 1 plus, this is 0,104. The interest did not change. Now this is to the exponent minus 16. Okay, all right, okay. Now we divide by 0,104, divide by 12. Again, guys, key is the substitution here. The rest is history. So this is the balance outstanding. So let's see, 6661.77 into 1 minus 1 plus 0,104 divide by 12 all to the exponent minus 16 divide by 0,104 divide by 12. Okay, guys, so here make sure your gymnastics are correct. This is 99 scordo 31 28 bucks 38 cents. Okay, all right, okay. So we were doing this to 2 decimal places because money is like that. So guys, this is easy, so you can use any other method, but this one sorts us out. So we're getting the answer there, and the period is the one thing that makes life easy. So guys, I'm sure you guys are starting to enjoy the financial section, is it not? Because I do believe we have made it too simple at this point. So let's go. For you, you are going into the next question, okay? What you call into the next page, but I'm just using any space available. So we're done with our finances. Let's get to this business. Question 9 says, from the first principles, determine the derivative of that. Nice. 9.1, we are given f of x is 2x squared plus 9. So you can already see here that the derivative is going to be 4x. So let's go towards that. So we can say now f prime of x is equal to the limit as h tends to 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h. which is what we call, say, Isaac Newton's quotient. Yey wena uyazazi izinto nje. Lo mntu lo thetha la way. Now let's do this thing. Singathethi la way. Now this is going to be 2. Where we see x, we put x plus h all squared, and then of course that is f off, so this is going to be plus 9 minus, we subtract that whole stuff, and we divide by h. So this is again the limit as h tends to 0. Now bafowethu ngizama ukusave isikhathi la. This is going to be x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. So this is going to be basically 2x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared. Sengiyamuva ke manje ngisenasikhathi, minus, we break that one, is going to be 2x squared minus 9. Inkinga yami sesikhathi bafowethu. So things are going to start doing things to each other. Things are going to do the things. They will do the things. If they don't do the things, you know that you are not doing something correct, okay? Things must do the things. That must too can be done. Talking of breaking English into pieces, who cares? I don't. 4xh plus 2h squared over h. So let's continue. Lim as h tends to 0. So now we try to take h out. And it is not necessarily the highest common factor. This time this is where it's special. You're not necessarily taking the highest common factor. You're just taking h as the common factor. So we remain with 4x plus 2h. Again, if you get to this step, I can assure you, you are doing something right. Otherwise, kuzolilwa inyembezi, ngiyakuxelela. So this is the limit as h tends to 0 of 4x plus 2h. Nice and easy. So now we can say this is 4x plus 2 into h and 0. So we drop the limit. And this is equal to 4x. And wow, it has been a pleasure, sir. So we know we did it well. Not even gonna show you the marks. This one is pretty standard. 9.2 says determine the following. Easy. So dy over dx if y is equal to that. So that y is not proper. So we need to sort out that y. 9.2.1. We know y is equal to x into 2x plus 1. Which means y is going to be 2x squared plus x. So therefore, dy over dx. Okay, maybe let's do this one. Say this implies, therefore, dy over dx is going to be 4x plus 1. And that is the answer. That is the answer. So essentially, writing this business into that format was an important gymnastic, and essentially that answer. But sometimes they don't care. They'll give you the marks here. Say, for each derivative, that is a mark, that is a mark. Because they know that you've gotten marks in algebra for algebraic manipulations, so you should know what to expect. 9.2.2. Let's move, folks. So we're given, again, we need to sort out here. We've been given y plus x is equal to x plus 3. We cannot do dy over dx, but already this numerator tells you that you've got to make y the subject of the formula instead of anything. So how do we do this? We reproduce this business right here, and then we've got y plus x equals x plus 3. Now here we can square to get rid of that. This implies that y plus x is going to be x squared plus 6x plus 9. Ne? Which also implies that y is going to be x squared. Transpose that is going to be 5x plus 9. Therefore, dy over dx is going to be 2x plus 5. Derivative of a constant is, you know. So what are we getting here? 3 marks. My lord. So we're getting that mark because it's an important one. And then for each derivative. So that is how we score those 3 marks. Okay, guys, let's move. 9.2.3. So here we are differentiating with respect to x, whatever we've got. So this is another format of doing derivatives. So we've got here 4 plus root of 3x over x. Oh, this thing is like that. So we need to work it out. So we can still say d with respect to x. So we break this apart. It's going to be 4 over x. Plus, now we can change this to exponents, but the square root of 3, you don't need to change. But x is to the exponent a half, right? When you're using exponential rules, and this is all over x as well. Okay, so be careful of the things that you must do, okay? Now we're not ready yet to differentiate with respect to x, because x must not be in the denominator. So this is 4 times x to the exponent minus 1 plus, now this is going to be the square root of 3 times x to the exponent minus a half, right? How do I know this? This is x to the 1. When you take it up, it's going to be x to the minus 1. So a half minus 1 is minus a half. Now we can differentiate. We can say this is equal to. Now when we differentiate here, it's going to be minus 4x to the minus 2. This one is going to be minus the square root of 3 over 2 times x to the exponent minus. So here we're going to subtract 1. This is going to be minus 3 over 2. Okay. So bafowethu ngiyanicela ke manje yeke la lento lena. Ungabi hero uzofa. Isikhathi into ongenayo. How many marks? 3 also. Okay. All right. Okay. So essentially getting to this portion is important, and that derivative as well as that derivative. That is how you score those 3 marks. Okay. Here they were in the mood to ask questions, We've got a 9.3. It says the derivative of a function at a point. What is that? A derivative of a function at a point that gives us the gradient at that point when we substitute that point to the derivative. Now we're given that point is p. Okay, is given below. So can you see the limit h plus 2 plus h? So basically this means we substituted x. We substituted x here by 2 because this would have been x plus h from Sir Isaac Newton's quotient. So that means this 2 is x. So again we substituted here x by 2, it seems. So this is x. So this means our f of x here must have been x cubed plus 1, right? Because you can see clearly that now we substituted the x with just a 2. This means point P is to some y value that we need to find. But again, f of 2 is basically 2 cubed, which is 8, plus 1, which is 9. So this is basically 9. So analyze information, because trust me, that simplifies your life. Let's answer the question. Write down the equation of f. Easy. 9.3.1. We can see that our f of x is basically x cubed plus 1. Can you see? When you analyze things, you are sorted. So that is just 1 mark. They're giving 2 marks. Okay, that's fine. So 9.3.2. By the way, what is this, guys? What is this 1? What is this 1? This is the gradient when we substitute into the derivative. So the gradient is a 12, okay? Now it says a tangent is drawn at point P. Nice. Determine the equation of the tangent of f at point P. This is easy. Now we can say here P is the point 2 is to 9, okay? Nice and easy. How do you, if someone is asking questions, it's like, yeah, you have to deal with it. But you guys, we are now as bonel to x lapana ngutu. You know, you can show the calculations, but I'm not interested, guys. You substitute 2, then you get a 9. So yeah, we can say here, however, the gradient, we can say now this implies that the gradient of a tangent is going to be 12. Okay, easy. That's very important. We can say we can say now here, we're not interested. We can say this implies that the tangent is such that y is equal to 12x plus c. We know that this is the gradient, isn't it? Because that's what it is. And then we substitute this point P, which is 2 is to 9. Get 9 is equal to 12 into 2 plus c. Therefore, c is going to be, this is 24 minus 9. So 9 minus 24. It's minus 15. You can say, therefore, y is equal to 12x minus 15. At some point, the questions get overwhelming, Bafreto, so you can't keep everything going and flowing. You just move. For me, finding that P, however you did, I'm doing it by inspection, Bafreto, so it's part of the game, is it not? Because nobody told me what to do here. If the question says determine, I can do anything by inspection, and that's what I did. So if someone asks, I did it by inspection, so I mean, like, then the next one, substituting into a correct format is important, and the final finish. That's how we take those 3 marks, okay? Here, they were giving you a very nice question. I think this question is nice, and it's very interesting. It's not difficult, but it's quite interesting. This would fit both higher grade and standard grade, actually. You know. So, congratulations to the examiners here. Hi, baby, I'm a cry nice in Bella. I'm a cry nice now. I'm a cry nice. I'm a cry nice in Bella. Let's do question 10. They were asking, guys, come on, we're supposed to stop at question 10. Yeah, when? So we've got our f of x is ax cubed plus bx squared. Okay. Now, we're told here the coordinates of L. By the way, if you're looking at this function, let me not be careless now. I'm starting to drop the ball. If you look at the a value, looking at this shape, we can already tell that our a value here is a value less than 0, né? Because if that is the case, we expect a graph that is stuff like this, you know. And that is exactly what we've got here. So remember these things. They are very important. Now the x coordinates of L and M are 1 and 2 respectively. So this suggests that, okay, all right, this guy right here is exactly at 1. And then that guy over there is exactly at 2. So that is fine. We can see that. We can see that. Siyayibona lonto. Injalo nyani. Khona kuyiphika yabona. So what we don't know is the corresponding y values, but we've got the equation, so it's fine. We can do the corresponding y values however we want. Okay, let's move. The average gradient, you win. Average gradient between L and M is 5,5. So now they're giving us this guy, that the steepness of that gradient is 5,5. Okay, maybe let's write it there somewhere. That is the gradient, not the length. Be careful. Okay, now the equation of the tangent to the curve at f, of f, at x is equal to 6 is this one. Okay, so again, we know that where could that be? Maybe something like that. If we have a 2 here, and this is a negative gradient, as you can see, minus 18. So this is probably something that is doing things here. Papela wena. How one? Ten going at it only and when. Yeah, man. This is somewhat the tangent. Now let's say this point is over there. Now we can tell that that point is being told to us that it is doing the stuff like this here. It's doing stuff like that. So this is a 6 over there. So that is that story there. Okay, so we can see that now we have a bit of work to do. We need that point of tangency, number 1. We will need this point of tangency because we can see this is 6 is to some y value that we can substitute the 6 onto the original. It will give us the y value. All right, and then also here we've got 2 is to some y value. We can find out later. This is 1 is to some y value there. We can find out later. Okay, now we've got a few issues, lots and lots of issues. Okay, now it says show. Now a show means prove. Prove means, whatever you do, you can't just do it by inspection and give us. We want to know, and you can tell that this is Now that question becomes a higher grade question because you can see not anything here is the way we are used to it. Yes. That's what? It is what? Now, but words. Essentially, what we need, we know that the gradient at a point is 18 when x is 6. So to answer this 10.1, we know that technically the first derivative, we can just simply say the first derivative of f of x, but now I'm going to put x as 6. I'm already substituting. Is going to be minus 18 because that is the gradient at a point. That is why I'm doing it. Where x is equal to 6. You see, the first derivative gives us the gradient and we are already getting that. So I'm trying to derive some equation here. This implies now the derivative here is going to be 3ax squared. So we're going to have 3a, x is 6 now. We put in a square there. Plus, this is 2bx. So it's going to be 2b, x is 6, equals minus 18. So if we're to move fast, I don't have time, but you can do yourself a favor and do the derivative there, and then you'll be sorted. Now, this is your thought process. Maybe let me be kind and say, the first derivative is going to be 3ax squared plus 2bx. Now this was your notes, okay? It is not necessary to show. So this is your notes. Let me be kind in case you're wondering what is going on here. Now let's go on. So what is the story now? The story is that this is 36 by 3. Let's multiply 36 times 3 is 108. So this is 108a plus 2 times 6, this is 12b, is equal to minus 18. Whoa, this is complicated. Maybe let's make this one equation 1. Okay, that is what we can do with this one. Now we want to find out what else can we do. Now we need to use this gradient that they gave us. This guy has to come into the 4. So how do we determine the gradient? We can say also, we know that the average gradient between L and M is equal to a 5,5. That was given. But now how do we do the gradient? We take that point and substitute. So it's going to be essentially y at M minus y at L divided by x at M minus x at L, which is going to be 5 over 5,5. Now we've got a job to. So now can you see point M lies on the parabola. So basically the y at M, we substitute 1 in that equation. So this is going to be a into 1. No. M is 2 there. So this is 2 cubed. Plus b into 2 squared minus. Let's deal with this one. Y at L is basically a into 1 cubed plus b into 1 squared. All of that shenanigans. So this is a higher grade question, yeah? Yeah. I can feel it. This is for the big boys and girls. This is 5,5. This is basically 2 minus 1. So we can see the denominator falls away. So we focus on the numerator. So this is going to be 8a plus 4b minus, this is now a plus b. When we put a minus, it's going to be minus a minus b is equal to 5,5. Can you see that? Yebo go. So collect like terms. 8a minus, this is 7a plus 4b minus b, this is 3b is equal to 5,5. Yaziyakhipha la. Ngiyakutshela wena, ngiyakutshela. Now guys, we have a situation. We need to make something the subject of the formula. We can say this implies that b is going to be 5,5 minus 7a all over 3. Okay, can make this one equation 2 of words. So we know the gymnastics. We know the gymnastics. We can say here, maybe let's put it as a conclusion. Even this one, we can make it as a form of a conclusion. Now we've got 2 equations. We can substitute because remember, the a here, this a is the same as that a, is it not? Yebo. So that's why we can solve simultaneously. And then that b is the same as this b. So we can actually solve simultaneously. That's why it's allowed. So we can put 2 into 1. What do we get? Now we've got 8a plus 12. Now when you do this one, it's going to be 5,5 minus 7a over 3, which is equal to minus 18. So this implies that we've got 8a plus, now we can just simply see that this is going to be 12, 3 going once, to itself going 4 times to 12. Maybe let's put it there on top. So we multiply this one by 4. 4 times 5,5 is 22 minus 28a is equal to minus 18. So gymnastics of word. You must always be smart and be able to do the things that can be done. So now 8 minus 28, this is minus 20a, is equal to 18 minus 18 minus 22. Don't work there. Minus 18, yeah, minus 18, minus 22, that's 40, right? Minus 40. Is 1. Therefore, our A is going to be holy. Make ngokutheni izophuma negative ke ngoku. Did we copy things correctly here? Why I'm getting a positive answer bafowethu? We are not supposed to find a positive answer nje. Ish. Why is it a negative a half and I'm getting a positive half? Ish. Because this is a half now, not minus a half, because this is going to be minus 40. Here I'm supposed to get 20, so something is not adding up. What happened? I wrote my own things, ne? This is 108. Be careful. 108. Yeah, man. Starting to talk now. Yes. If you know man. Okay. Koning magana nje. Yasivelela apha. So Hayi konke kurongo lokho. Asike sikudedele kancane. So this is 108 minus 28. 108 minus 28. It gives us 80A equals, this one is going to be minus 40. All right. Okay. It seems like it's going to work. Therefore, A is going to be minus A. Yeah, a half. So that is correct. Therefore, B, we can substitute into any one of these equations. So let's substitute into this one that we see here. B is going to be 5, 5 minus 7 into, minus a half over 3. What is that? So let's do that complex thing. 5, 5 minus 7 into minus a half. So you see your fancy calculators bafowethu zintswempu, so we're getting 3. Okay, all right, okay. Yeah. Yaboxana le. Hayi bebesebeyekile ukunikeza ama-cry nice la. Bese kukhalwa kabuhlungu ke manje. Hayi kamnandi, Bese kuzizikhalo zokwenene. Not fake cries. Yabona. Jwayelana ya. Liyajwayelana nina niyangijwayela. Nibhalisa i-essay ye-maths la ningazilindelanga. Yeah, anyway, 5 marks says multiple steps bafowethu, and you can see 3 steps zonke. Actually 4. Yeah, bekufiwa ke la, but the main ones are 3. So how do we do this? I suppose that should be a mark, ne? And this should be a mark. Substituting one into the other is a mark. 3 marks, and essentially substituting this one into the other is the 4th mark. Ne? Yeah. 1, 2. But substituting, we can't give a mark for substituting again. It's not correct. So this one gives us the mark. So I suppose there are some very critical steps bafowethu. I believe here, I think though this step is critical, doing the derivative and substituting again. I suppose that should be a mark, so 4 marks. And then, yeah, technical lentole. I don't even know banzotin. 1 2 3 4. Wait, 1 2 3 4. Where is the fifth mark backwards? Yeah, when? Now I don't know. Now I don't know. Now I don't know. Yeah. Yes, trap. Isifakele amafutha. Ndiyakuxelela. Isithelela amafutha. Sizoshayina njengabantu abaceba intoboza. Retloba khanyana lady. Oh my Lord, I don't know bafowethu. I don't know bafowethu. Maybe this declaration bafowethu is important, I guess. That declaration, without it, we were dead. Were we not? Essentially. So this is now 1 2 3 4 5. Yeah, but consult the marking guidelines for a more clearer view of how those marks are arrived at. And I'm losing time, guys. I thought I was going to be able to conserve it, but yeah, I started talking and yeah, the talking didn't help. It says now the equation of, yeah, rightly so, it should be like that. Okay, let's see. The equation of f is this bubble right there. No? Is given. Determine the coordinates of n, the turning point. So that is easy. So we've got f of x is equal to minus a half of x cubed plus 3x squared. So now we can say n is such that the first derivative of x is equal to 0, which implies that we've got minus 3 over 2x squared plus 6x. Okay, my 6 doesn't look so healthy. Is equal to 0, which also implies we can take out the highest common factor here, which is just x into minus 3 over 2x plus 6 is equal to 0. So we can see that therefore x is a 0, or x is equal to minus 6 divided by 3 over 2. By minus 3 over 2. It gives us a 4. So what do we do now? We can say here, we can say therefore our x at n is going to be 4. Because we can see that is the maximum turning point. The other one is 0, so we're not interested in that. And then we can say this therefore also tells us y at n is going to be f of 4, which is going to be minus a half into 4 cubed plus 3 into 4 squared. Okay, minus 0,5 into 4 cubed plus 3 into 4 squared. I'm getting 16. So 16 is correct because it's positive. So we can say therefore n is 4 is to 16. They were throwing now. They were throwing the punches. Just a liwa, but 10 was exactly liwa, just tubing, just culling. Okay, 4 marks. I guess the derivative is important, and essentially equating that to 0 is also important, and finding the x coordinate is important, and doing that substitution there. But substitutions don't matter, né? That is what matters, and essentially that is the 4 marks. Okay. 10.3, it says now the graph of f is concave up when x is less than k. So obviously k, this means this is the point of inflection. So k must be the x coordinate of the point of inflection, the POI. Okay, so we know that the x-coordinate of the point of inflection is essentially the average of the x-coordinate at n plus the x-coordinate at the origin. So they're telling us calculate the value of k. So we know that k is essentially equal to the x-coordinate at the origin plus the x-coordinate at n, and we're dividing it by 2. This is 0 plus 4 over 2, which is equal to 2. Okay, so this is very important. Is it 3 marks, but where to? I guess that is important, that substitution and the answer. This was 12 marks. Okay, here, yeah, they were not giving these marks. You had to work for them, especially 10.1. I mean, the last two are pretty standard. It's a bit of the way they are that makes them hectic. So let's do question 11. Question 11 says a matchbox consists of an outer cover, K, and an open at both ends, as we can see there. That end and the other end on this side is open, to which slides a rectangular box, now without a top, and that is the dude right there. Now it says the length of the box is 1.5 times the breadth. Can you see? The length is 1.5 the breadth. Okay, so that is a very good statement to think about. Now the thickness of the material is negligible, so that is a strong statement. So we're told here the thickness of this material is negligible, so meaning the height of this box is the same as the height of the outer cover, and you know, you keep going with those things. So this is just suggesting that those things are essentially equal. Now the volume of the box is 25 centimeter cubed. Yo, yanimvula thethi ngathi ndilusana. Hayi, okuthetha kakhulu. Anyway, we can see those dimensions given to us. Now they're telling us if the breadth of the box is x centimeters. So it says write down, can you see? Write down the height of the box in terms of x. So 11.1. Now we know that from the volume, we know that this is going to be length times breadth times height. Now this implies that 25 is equal to, the length is 1,5x into the breadth, which is x times h. We can see therefore that our h is going to be equal to 25 divided by 1,5x squared. So this is the answer that they were looking for. So this suggests you should do this in your rough work. No one is interested in it. So this is your note. It should not really be a part of the solution. You can just write h is, because the question said write down. So we're getting 2 marks and we're moving. 11.2. It says now show that the amount of the material used for the box is given by, you can tell that this is the area covered by those things. So we know that the area here is going to be the area covered by that little box there. So it's going to be length times breadth. This one is going to be this portion and that portion. So there's 2 of them. So we're going to multiply this by 2. Ne? Plus, again, we've got this portion here and that portion there. So we need to consider those two. The length here times breadth, which is going to be a bit different here. Maybe we can just look at it as the breadth times height here, plus the breadth times height times 2 again, because there's 2 of them. And then plus, now we look at the area of the base. The area of the base is basically going to be the length. Actually, this was not correct. This is the length times height. Yeah? So this is going to be the length times the actual breadth, because that is just 1. The other side is open. Plus, now we're going to focus on the box now. The box, again, is this area plus that one underneath. Okay? So it's going to be plus, essentially that one is length times breadth. So this is going to be length times breadth. Now this one is multiplied by 2. Plus, because there was 2 components, now we've got this one and that other one on that side. So this is going to be the length times the height times 2. Okay, that's it. So I'm just trying to work it out, guys, because they said show. So the length times breadth there is 1,5 x into the height. We got 25 over 1,5 x squared. This is multiplied by 2. Plus this one is the breadth, which is x into the height, which is 25 over 1,5 x squared, multiplying that by 2. Plus the length is basically 1,5 x into the breadth is x. This is times 2. Okay, I'm losing a bit of space here. Plus we come here. This is going to be 1,5x into 25 over 1,5x squared times 2. That's a lot. Now let's clean this thing up. So what we see here is that this dude will undo that dude. Nice and easy. And then this dude will be undone by that. So what do we have left there? This is 25 times 2. This is 50 over x. Plus, we see that again, this dude will undo that. So this is going to be 25 times 2. This is essentially 50. Okay. Over 1,5 x. No? All right. Plus, now what do we have here? This is 1,5 times 2. That is going to be basically 3x squared. Plus, again, we've got this dude and that dude. They undo each other. And that dude is going to undo that. So this becomes 50 over x. Okay. So what do we do now? We want it to look like that. So this is 50. These are like terms now. This is a like term to this one. So when we sort out those like terms, what happens? We get 50 plus 50 is 100. The denominator is common. Plus, mark. Where is 4,5x squared? There's something missing here. There is something missing, so it's not complete. What did we not do before? What did we not do? So yeah, there's a lot of things here. There is a lot of things here. I think this is the mistake, because this was yeah, that's a headache now, is it not? Something is missing from my expression here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 things. So something is missing. Yeah, something is missing. Okay. All right. Let's sort it out. Something is not there, which was supposed to be there. Okay, maybe let's clean up here a bit. It's just a minor hiccup. There's something missing here, because I've got 5 areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is missing here? Plus, let's see, length times height, there it is, times 2. Breadth times height times 2, yes. Length times breadth, that is the one that's missing. Okay, let's see, this is 1,5x into x, no? Yeah, that is the one that was missing. Everything else is there. So we've got now our gymnastics again. This is going to give us 50 over x, ne? Plus that one gives us 50 over 1,5x, plus this one is going to be 3x squared, plus that is 50 over x, plus the last one is going to be 1,5x squared. Okay, now we've got our like terms, and they like each other, because this is still a like term, but we're trying to get it to look like that. So this and that, we're going to add 50 to 50, so this is 100 over x. The denominator is common, plus now we can say 3x squared plus that one. Those are also like terms, so they will add to 4,5x squared, plus this one is put last. So there it is, we have shown it. Yeah, this one, I don't know whether it's tiredness. Again, you'll be told, guys, it's over now. It's over now. So, yeah, I'm sure I can see that. I mean, I didn't install so much, did I? No, I did not. So that was just 2 marks. Can you believe it? This madness for just 2 marks. But essentially, we are saying those substitutions are worth a mark, and we can gift you a mark for the answer, even though it was already given. We can see that it is logically happening. Or we can simply say you're getting a mark for that step. Then sorting up everything is giving us what you were given already. Okay, not a problem. 11.3. It says, hence determine the breadth of the box, which is now the value of x, if the material used is to be a minimum. So we know that the area is given by 100 over x plus 4,5x squared plus 50 over 1,5x. Now we don't appreciate, these things happening the way they are happening. So we can just sort it up. These are like terms, by the way. These are like terms. These are like terms. So we can add them up and see what happens. So basically, essentially, technically, yeah, maybe let's just leave it alone. It was horrifying. Masingazikhathazi bafethu ngezinye izinto la. Ithi singazibulali, masingazibulali. just take this to the numerator, so this is going to be 100 times x to the minus 1 plus 4,5x squared plus 50 over 1,5 times x to the minus 1. Now it starts to make sense that those are like terms, né? Now I'm taking it down, so we're going to have 100 plus a 50 over 1,5. So what is that? What is that? This is basically 400 over 3. Hi man, ish, don't le over 3x to the exponent minus 1, because these are like terms. Now we can see nicely, ish, you see, sometimes changing things into a way that you can work it out is cool. Now we're going to see here that we are adding 4,5x squared. Okay, so that was the area. So we can say now for minimum area, it is such that a prime in terms of x is equal to 0. This implies when we do this, we get a minus 400 over 3 times x to the minus 2, né? Plus 4,5 by 2, this is 9x, is equal to 0. So what is that? What is that? What is that? Not one of those bulal. Now we can see that essentially we want to write this as a positive exponent. It forces us to do that. So this is minus 400 over 3x squared plus 9x equal to 0. So we multiply by 3x squared, which is our common denominator, because this one is over 1 and that is over 1. So when we multiply there, we get a minus 400 plus. Now when we multiply there, we get a 27x cubed is equal to 0. This implies that x cubed is going to be equal to, transpose the 400, we divide by 27. So we can see here therefore that our x is going to be the cube root of 400 over 27. Okay, so which tells us that shift that one, put a 3 there, a 400 over 27. I'm getting a 2,46 centimeters. Can you see? We've sorted the bread. We've sorted the bread. And the bread is that one. So guys, here again, you have to be meticulous. Here they were fighting you, They were fighting you for just 3 marks. So essentially, this derivative is important, and equating it to 0 is important in the final answer. Okay, here besingadla cry nice, ne? No. Besikhukhuza amathambo la, and amathambo efish mfana ayahlaba, okay? Ayahlaba apha esinini. Okay, let's do the headache bafowethu. Now I need a discipline because this one is a serious headache for me. Although I know I can handle it, but bafowethu probabilities, they can be easy, but I always regard them as troublesome. So for me, this is what would be something done by higher grade students back in the days, because this thing is ridiculous. But sometimes, yeah, they can make it for both. But yeah. That is my thinking. A group of 40 people. So again, always pay attention to the totals. There's 40 people are asked which bus company they liked to travel by. Is it the Eldo coaches? I think it's Eldo, not Eldo. Who's writing this thing, man? It's Eldo coaches. We don't have alto here. Tinas no alto coaches. Out is balungis. Grey bound. Tinas no greyhound. Nasiqheligabi. Sinenja ephatshileyo, not intoni grey bound. Supposed to be greyhound, man. They want translaki. Can you see? This is translax. So tinas no translax. Masingaqhelakabi. Bus company. So please, sanusiqhela. Nisiqhelelani kanje. Nisibizela amagama esingawazi. Sinandaba nalamagama. Anyway, uzuyenze le mistake endiyenzayo utshintshe la magama uzova ingathi uyatsha. Keep the alto, baba, or else kuzogedla amazinyo. Ngiyakutshela. Hayi asibagcine laba translate baba, but thina sazo alto coaches, sazo greyhound, sazo translax. Asingaqhelakali. Simply stop. Or else someone is gonna get donnered, and I'll be the first one to throw the stone, you know? Because you know what? I don't have a scene, man. And I don't live in a glass house too. So whatever you try, you'll find me on the still house. And it's hot for you on the outside. But it's cold on the inside. To accommodate me, but to ban the ones who are trying their luck. Okay, alright. So we can see now we've got a Venn diagram. A sun. The tool that is important. Now they're telling us 3 people liked traveling by all 3 buses. 3 people. So now this is the section right here. This is the section right here. That is that section. Can you see? F. So this is 3 people. So F is 3. Number 1. So sesimsothile F. Always you start with the intersection normally. Now they're telling us 7 people liked to travel by Translaki and Alto. So where is that intersection? This is the intersection of Alto and Translaki. So that should be 7. So that means if this is 3, this should be 4. Okay? Because they must add up to 7, which is those people. Okay, great. Nice and easy. Masuseke ngokulento. Kuba sesiyibonile uba kwenzeka ntoni phayana ngithi. So that is 4 people. And then we're told 3 people did not like using any of the bus companies. This essentially tells us G is the 3 people, because these ones, it's either they just bayathakatha bahamba ngesonka bayofika phayana. And that is the quickest. They travel at the speed of light. Or baqabela imfene okanye umtshayelo ne. Okanye shema bathakathi banemoto yabo ne bazoziqhubela. Okanye they like an aeroplane. You know. Or they don't even care to use a bus. They just walk, which they can't walk to Johannesburg. Ne? Be careful of these ones. Anyway, so that is the story. So guys, interpret information carefully. Here you need to be cautious, or else you will be dead in a second. Now we're told here the probability of a randomly selected person liking to travel by Greyhound and Alto. Okay, so who are those guys that travel by Greyhound and Alto? It is these guys. See the intersection between Greyhound and Alto is that 1. So I'm being told that the probability is 2/5. Okay, so essentially we are looking for B here. So we can see that B plus the 3, because that is the intersection, over the total, which is 40, should give us 2/5 simplified. Now we just do our gymnastics. We cross multiply the 40 and then we transpose the 3. We will find out that B is going to be 2/5 into 40 minus 3. So let's sort it out. So this is 2/5 times 40 minus 3 is 13. Now la bese kushaya induku ke manje, bese sibetha induku ezinzima kakhulu. So this one is 13. So B is 13. Can you see? Okay, now that one was hot. That one was hot. Asiye kwelandelayo. We're told here the probability of a randomly selected person liking to travel by Greyhound and Translux is this one. 1/5. Where is that intersection of Greyhound and Translux? So we are done with this one now, so we can move away. So this one is Greyhound and Translux. So the Greyhound and Translux is this one. That is the intersection. So what are we trying to suggest, Bafwet? We are suggesting that actually 3 plus C over the total, which is 40 people, must, in a simplified fashion, give us 1/5. Again, we do our gymnastics, cross multiply 40, and then we transpose our 3 there. So we'll find out that C is basically 1/5 into 40 minus 3. So let's deal with this. So 1/5 times 40 minus 3, it gives us 5. C is 5. Yawena 10 ngathi khona izinto ezifuna ukwenzeka la. So we have 5. Ingathi kuzoba nezinkinga nje. 10 ngathi unqwaza uqini nje. 10 ngathi unqwaza uqini nje. Okay, sesiqibile ngaliya intersection. Now we are left with, okay, let's read the next statement. I told you the probability of a randomly selected person again liking to travel by Translux only. Can you see this one is Translux only? Now Translux only is basically D. Now this one, we don't have other things adding. When you say only, it's D only. So D only is basically D over 40 is equal to 1/10. We just simply cross multiply that. We can see that D is going to be 4. So it's going to be 40/10. So that one is simple. So D is 4. So we can see that, okay, that gave us D. Now the probability that a randomly selected individual liking to travel by alto, can you see alto entirely, is 13/20. So now we're talking about this dude right here. When we say alto, we're talking about this one as a whole. So that one, we are saying that whole shenanigan must give us the things that we want. Now, how do we get the things that we want? Let's box this one so that it doesn't trouble us. We are saying E plus all these other numbers. So which is plus 13 plus 3 plus 4 over the total, which is 40. Must can give us yabona yona bethwa listen bethwa space ngesivele sasidibanisa zonke nje izinto ngexesha elinye. Let's just combine those ones together. This is 16 plus 4, this is 20. Okay, let's just do this one. Masithi sisose nje sikwenzela basobhala lula man. Singabi ningxaki. So this is 20. So this is when you add 4 to 3, 7 plus 13, 20 plus E. Now over 40 must give us this 13/20. Again, we cross multiply 40 there and then we transpose 20. So we can see that E is going to be 13/20 times 40 minus 20 is 6. So E is 6. Okay, so we can see that we have 6. Yeah, ne? Now let's double check, guys, if everything is correct. Now when we add all these values, once we add all of these, we must get 40. Ne? If we don't get 40, that means we are dead. So must call up 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 2 plus 13 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6. I'm getting 40. So, yay! That is a dodge again. But now our Venn diagram is sorted. Now, this essentially is a higher grade question. I can tell you. I was correct about it. Use the given information to determine the values of A, B, C, D, E. So 12.1, we've got A. A is 4. B is 13. C is 5. D is 4. E is 6. Okay, so that's it. Nice and easy, so you get a mark for each. And you can see to get those values was a lot of calculations. So essentially, guys, I don't know. Remember, determination can be by inspection. So this one is complicated. If you want to show those steps, be my guest, okay? Yeah, you know how to do it. You can calculate all of those things, it's fine. Or you can just list them. That's still okay for me. So essentially, that's just how we go about it. That's just how we go about it. So 12.2. It says how many people liked to travel by the grey hound. Okay, I don't know what is grey. What is grey in Afrikaans? Because I know the hound is the dog. Is a hound. Now, how is it grey? Yeah, so how many people like to travel by Greyhound? So we are actually asking this question that this circle, we are looking to sort out this one in this scenario. But now we just want to calculate the total of those people. So this is going to be what now? 13 plus this one, that is 16 plus 5, that's 21 plus 2, that's 23 people. So this is 23 people. So just add those numbers and you get your 1 mark, nice and easy. So we've got 12.3. It says now calculate the probability of a randomly selected person liking to travel only by one bus company. So it is either E over the total, or 2 over the total, or D over the total, or yeah, just one bus company. So it's just those 3. So I will just say the probability of the event, because I don't know how to put it. It's either going to be the probability of E only plus the probability of Greyhound only, or plus the probability of the Translux only. That is the one. That is the one. This is equal to now E only, which is L2 only, is 6 over 14. That is the probability plus. Now OR is a plus. Actually, I should have written OR. And OR is translated in maths as a plus. Of is multiplication. Okay, remember those things. The difference is the minus. The addition or the sum is the plus. The product is a multiplier. Now let's go. G only is 2 over 40 plus D only is going to be 4 over 40. So the denominator is the same. We add those numbers over 40. So this is 6 plus 2, that is 8, plus 4, that is 12 over 40. So we can leave it here above words, but I think we can reduce this to something better. So 12 divided by 40 is 3 over 10. So I think this one is better. So always reduce these things. Don't leave as big ones. But if it doesn't reduce, you leave it as a big one. We can even show it as a decimal. So this is fine, folks. This is fine. So technically, that is the 2 marks. I guess this is just the substitutions and the answer. Okay, lana ma cry nice now. Why? I think I ma cry nice. These ones were cry bad. Okay, these were bad cries. Oh, that question 12. I know, man. It's not nice, eh? It's not nice. But babuza kakhulu kanti abantu ingxaki yabo yintoni nangoku. We still have question 13. Hayi bafethu ngeke. Wena. Nina anigqibanga ukubhala apho. Ndiyibona le nto le. Yayi ngoba sendithanda abantwana ndini. Ndiyanixelela ke ngoku. Soze ndigqibe ukubhala le nto le. Kodwa ke zikhona izipid cops zabantwana. Abantwana nje abayiphiwe ingqondo nje. You know, kids of today, even before they can talk, they know how to operate a gadget, a phone, a tablet. They know where the pictures are. They know how to see those patterns. This is just to show you that a child is already ready for life. It's just that they're limited by their muscle mass, which is sometimes less, not able to give them what they can do. Otherwise, they can do anything, even before they can even talk. Even at birth, these things are ready, man. So watch out. Don't play with kids. Be like the Chinese or the Asians, essentially. You teach your kids, even at 4, how to play the piano, how to count, how to calculate, so that by the time they start school, they are not limited. Now this one would become a piece of cake. They can finish this thing in 2 hours, you know, and beat me, the one who thinks I know, but I actually don't. Anyway, let's do this one. Nontle, who is a grade 12 learner, has 8 textbooks. Okay? Always pay attention to totals. From 8 different subjects. This is maths, which is what we're doing here. Engels, which is what I am talking about here. Accounting, which I don't know anything about. History, I know a bit. Tourism, I don't know anything about. Afrikaans, I wanted to know something, but I never got to know it. Geography, I did it and I know it. Drama, I can do it, but I never studied it. Okay, which she wants to arrange in a line on a shelf. So she wants to arrange these things in a line. Now, in how many ways can these ones be arranged? This is basically a random thing, because it's not specific, so it's a random one. A random one is nice. 13.1. We've got 8 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For the first one, she's got 8. For the second one, 7 options, 6 options, 5 options, 4 options, 3 options, 2 options, 1. And we're multiplying like that. So what is this thing called? It's called 8 factorial. So let's sort it out. What is 8 factorial? So this is 8 factorial. It gives us 40,320. Okay, ways or arrangements. Okay, Bafwetu, that is the answer to a very simple question. Okay, they decided to give you some cry nice thing. Ma cry nice gelao. That is ma cry nice. Even though we know we can easily get a headache here. Now, we're told in how many ways can the textbooks be arranged if the mathematics textbook and the accounting textbooks must be on each end of the shelf? Oof. Okay, this one is rough. So, now we've got 8 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? Now for the ends bafwets, we've got to be cognizant of these ones. Now for the ends, it is like this. Ne? Now for that end, because this end doesn't specify which end must this one be. If they said this one must be on the left or right, it is okay. But now we know that we've got 2 textbooks for this portion. If there's 2, then there's going to be 1 for that portion. Ne? That is it, or vice versa. But this is essentially 1 and 1 times 2, because that is 2 factorial already. So that is sorted. We don't have to worry. Now these other books can be placed in between these ones. So these other books, there's now taken 2 out of 8. This is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because they themselves can be placed in any order. So we multiply those shenanigans there. So what do we get in here? So we essentially get 2 factorial multiplied by 6 factorial. Let's sort this one out. 2 factorial times 6 factorial. This is 1440 ways. Where there's a will, there's a way, or you can say arrangements. Okay guys, so that one was a bit of a cry nice too. It was a bit of a cry nice. I'm a cry nice la. So we're getting 3 marks. Technically, I suppose this factorial and that factorial is important in this answer. So that is qua. That is how this thing must be done. I'm a cry nice indeed. Masenze ukugqibela. So bagqibele ngokuthi mabakhe bathi is on the pane. If the mathematics textbooks and the accounting textbooks must be on each end of the shelf. So now this is a new scenario. Now a question like this is a higher grade question because it hides the fact that you are suffering. So we know that when these 2 textbooks are put at the end, the total is 440. Sorry, 1440. This is the total. So be careful of the total because they are hitting you with a probability question. So that is the total. Okay, now I told you if the mathematics textbook and the accounting textbook must be on each end, as it was the case, what is the probability that the history textbook and the tourism textbook must, okay, what is the probability that the history textbook and the tourism textbook are not next to each other? Okay, so here let's do the gymnastics. You can see this one is a higher grade question again, so but end with a bit of tears, because you know why not end with a bit of tears? Now let's start looking up when these ones are next to each other. Or we can do it and say, yeah, let's put them next to each other. So we can say this is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we are saying these guys are fixed. They are fixed. These ones. So if we put 1 here, then there's only one option for the other and vice versa. That is 2 factorial. But then we're suggesting that, hey, let's fix this 2 as well and say, folks, we are trying to not do this next to each other business, but now we're going to actually put you next to each other. So how can we do this one? We know that, again, we've got 2 options for the first spot and 1 option for the next spot. Okay, all right, okay. And then now this thing, we can place it here. We can place it here. So it can be here. It can be here. It can be here. It can be here. It can be there. Otherwise, those other 2 areas are fixed. Can you see that? So how many ways can we do this? We just want the number of ways because we've got the total. So the number of ways is going to be 2 factorial for this and that times 2 factorial for this one. Now it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is times 5 factorial. So let's sort this one out. Okay, now let's be careful. Now we want the number of ways in which these things don't stay next to each other. That means from the total, we're going to subtract this to give us the number of ways that these things will not be next to each other, because that is the total. We can say therefore the number of ways for history and tourism books not next to each other is such that is going to be the total 1440 minus that business here. This is 2 factorial times 2 factorial times 5 factorial. Ne, yeah, it is like that. So let's see, what is that? Maybe let's not even say it's such that it is equal to. So a bit of language and numbers there. Minus, this is 2 times 2 times 5 factorial. Because 2 factorial is just simply 2. So this is giving us 960 before 2. So we can say therefore the probability of the event, which is those things not next to each other, is going to be 960 divided by the total, which is 1440, which is going to be 960 divided by 1440. It gives us a 2/3. And our answer is complete. Okay guys, explore other techniques that I use. Here you can get it right, you can get it wrong, it's a mess. So go and check on the memorandum how it is done. Otherwise, my job is termino hiso. So 4 marks before. So technically, essentially, this one is important. And this determination is a tricky technique, but yeah, it works before. And then we substitute into the correct formula and we get the answer. Nice and easy. So that was a cry. Nice-ish, not really nice, but yeah, for a med student, this is a known pain. Okay, it's an enjoyable pain. It's like the guys who inject drugs into their system. During the injection, it's painful, but the after effects feels good to them, right? Even though in the long run, it's killing them. So don't do drugs. Simply stop. But yeah, this was a bit of a, there's a book that we read when we were small in Standard 7, which you guys call Grade 9. It's written, Cry Softly Tulenene. This was a bit of a soft cry, ne? We were crying actually, but yeah, it was a soft cry, not a big one. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and you essentially got somewhere close to 150 marks. Otherwise, I hope you liked the video and you have learned something. Just take away the gibberish, and of course sometimes I commit mistakes. If you see them, ignore them, or at least learn from those mistakes, because these are the same mistakes you could commit in your final exam and end up losing marks that you could easily get. And you can see whenever you can check those marks, you can check that the answers are correct, meaning they satisfy a structured information that was given to you, whether in a form of an equation or in words or statements. If that ties with that, then you know the answer is correct. So you already know for sure that the answer is correct. But others, you don't know the answer. Your only hope is a correct substitution and a correct manipulation of whatever you've got in front of you. And that should ensure you get to the answer. Otherwise, guys, I'm signing out. I'll see you next time. I hope the gentleman who requested this would be tuned in and will see that, yeah, we were given both I'ma cry nice and I'ma cry hard. Alright, bye-bye.